Howdy, howdy. Howdy, howdy.
Oh, there's an echo. Oh, there's an
echo. He might have had a window open.
I don't have a window open for sure. That was weird. Can you guys hear me okay?
Oh, yeah.
You're good now.
Yeah, it's good now. I don't know what that was. That was crazy.
No worries. It's not a proper live stream unless there's some type of Awesome. Well, welcome everyone. We are now officially live. I would love to know, for everyone who's joining us tonight, to share with us in the live chat box, where are you all located? I love to see just how international this carnivore community is. I see Ruby saying from Alberta, Canada. Hi, Ruby. Hi, Winmar. Oh, wow. Melbourne, Australia. Hi, Anne.
Hi, Anne.
Anne, yay. Hi, everyone. Hi, Miss E. Welcome, welcome. Let us know where you're all hopping on from in the live chat so I can see the live chat here. But for today, I really wanted to go live and help you all out. The purpose of tonight's live stream is to answer your questions, help everyone who's struggling with carnivore, and to hopefully expedite your journeys to get to those goals. So that's why I labeled it advice for how to get to your goals. So that means we are happy to take questions. While everybody starts thinking of their questions and topic requests, I just want to quickly introduce my carnivore friends here. Todd, Lindy, Amy, and we have Dr. Phil here. We have Chad. So I want them to just share in 30 seconds or less, what are the most profound benefits that you have received from going carnivore, Todd?
Well, for me, it was actually the quickest and probably the most profound was getting rid of depression and anxiety, and also understanding that I'm not broken or a defect, that actually there was a problem, and carnivore was the answer. And so that gave me something to work on that I had hope in.
Lindy.
Yeah, gosh, for me, I thought I'd hit rock bottom, and I didn't think I was going to get my life back. I thought it was over. Didn't think I'd be able to turn it around, dig myself out of the hole that I was in. And here I am living the best life that I can now, just finding my health. And the weight loss has just been the cherry on top. It's just having a life back again has been unreal.
Amazing. Amy.
Oh, I have to say that reversing my kidney disease was a really big deal. But I would say that being able to sustain being carnivore for a long time, all the accumulation of all that benefit is too numerous to almost name. So I would just say that I feel a lot of hope that I'm able to stay on it. And that hope, I guess, is my most favorite outcome of carnivore.
Amazing. Chad.
For me, again, it was anxiety, panic disorder, PTSD, and debilitating brain fog and severe digestive issues. And I was just ready to end my life at one point. And carnivore has made me thrive now. And I'm a black belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and I own my own school. And I feel like I have energy and that I could do anything. So it gave me my life back for sure.
And Dr. Phil.
Yeah, like many Americans on the standard American diet, I had developed metabolic syndrome, and carnivore helped me reverse that completely in 4 months. And I've been carnivore now for 14 months and just loving it.
Amazing. Todd, do you hear that I'm using my microphone? Is it nice and clear?
Yeah, it's clear. Yep.
Fantastic. Let's jump into questions. This is the first one that I'm seeing on my end. Let me put it on the screen. From Silver Wolf. I'm 10 days into carnivore diet and I am having lots of hot body flashes. Is this normal? Yes, I would say so. Because in my experience, when I went carnivore, my body temperature went up. And I remember going to bed, sleeping at night, and sweating. I was living in New York when I first started, and I had to pop open the window in the middle of winter. It was snowing outside, and it felt so good. So anyone here also have raising body temperature?
Just for the last 22 months. I don't remember what I don't know, know if you remember what I looked like in the gun range in Texas, but that's a little side of it. I run a little hot usually, for sure, since carnivore, for sure.
Totally normal.
Yeah,
Lindy.
definitely. At nighttime is when I experience it the most. Always at nighttime, I'm really hot, taking the doona off, and it's middle of winter here as well. So yeah, on and off with the doona, trying to cool down. So, but through the day, I'm feeling really cold, and I think this is from all the weight loss. So I've got the two extremes at the moment. So
So, Dr. Phil, I'd love for you to explain why this tends to happen.
Well, it's a thermogenic effect that has to do with your body is revving up and changing its metabolism from a carbohydrate-driven metabolism to a fat-driven metabolism. So you have a lot of hormonal changes occurring in your body, and you're getting into consuming excess fat stores, which is very interesting because it takes a little more effort to burn that up than it does for carbohydrates, which we're used to burning day in and day out. So I developed that almost immediately, but now I'm more at the other end where when I'm fasting, I get extremely cold because I am fat adapted. So I no longer have that. But I think it's an interesting phenomenon that many people call meat sweats, but it's basically an energy conversion of how your body burns energy.
Perfect. I think those answers were excellent. Let's keep going. This one is from Janet. Will my gallstones gradually disappear? Amy, did you ever struggle with gallstones?
I did not. However, I don't think that they disappear. They may never come out, but I don't think they disappear. I'm not certain.
I have seen some research on that because my gallstones have completely gone away. My gallbladder was all sorts of messed up. And what they say is as you continuously cycle out the bile in the gallbladder, it slowly starts to disintegrate the stones that are in there. And if you continuously do this every single day, they will eventually erode out. I mean, you can fact check me, Dr. Phil, but that was the research I was doing. And that's one of the things that convinced me to go full carnivore. And it was rough. I feel like I had every negative symptom going carnivore, but I was so desperate. I kept going anyway, but my gallbladder is fine now. And I probably passed more stones than I can count, but now I have zero problems.
So a lot of Americans have biliary stasis because they eat such low-fat diets that the gallbladder doesn't get emptied completely at a very frequent level. And so that stasis or lack of movement of the bile because the gallbladder is not contracting leads to a very, very sick gallbladder. And many people get what's called sludge as well as stones. And it's just a thick, gooey mess in the gallbladder. So as you begin to eat a high-fat diet, which is really what carnivore is about, you begin to exercise your gallbladder. It's contracting and emptying. And I agree with Chad. There's quite a bit of evidence, anecdotal evidence, that gallstones can reduce in caliber. Theoretically, you could get a stone that passes and get stuck, but I've not heard of anyone in the category in the carnivore community who's actually had that happen, even though it's theoretically a possibility. I've heard more people healing their gallbladder because it becomes less inflamed and less filled with sludge. And so it becomes a functioning thing, which is a little different than dealing with people who don't have a gallbladder at all, who we have to deal with a different strategy with.
Is it painful when the gallstones are passed, and do you always know?
Well, you wouldn't know if they're small enough to pass through the ductwork. The place where gallstones get stuck is at it's called the ampulla of Vader, like Darth Vader, which is where the common bile duct dumps into the duodenum, the first part of the small intestine. And theoretically, if your gallbladder is real inflamed, a small stone can lodge in there and give you jaundice immediately. And like I said, I've never seen anyone actually get that. And the jaundice of a stuck stone is usually painless, because it just kind of sits there and the bile can drain around it. But like I said, I've not seen it in the year and plus months that I've been in the carnivore community and all the hundreds of videos I've watched. So I would say it's more theoretical problem, and if anything, it's more beneficial to your gallbladder than detrimental to your gallbladder.
Let's keep going. I saw a question requesting to talk about poop. We always get poop questions and we love it. So he says, talk about pooping. And yes, I do eat fat and butter. So I'm guessing that maybe you are struggling with more constipation than diarrhea. Since you are saying, yes, I do eat fat and butter. With constipation, it definitely helps to eat salt as well to get the bowels moving. So whenever I hear, oh, I just feel blocked up and I just can't pass the stool, but I do feel that discomfort, you can play around with fats or you can play around with salt. Those are the two major factors that you can start experimenting with. And let's see what else. If you're having diarrhea, then of course do the opposite. Dr. Phil, any thoughts?
No, I think fat is the number one thing you need to be concerned about, and you can titrate your fat to get frequent stools. It's interesting how little stooling you do when you're on a carnivore because you don't have all that cellulose that is undigestible plant material, and so your stools become a little looser and become smaller in caliber if you're getting proper amount of fat. And if you're getting very, very loose stools and can hold back on it, it's probably that you've overdone with the fat. But this whole idea that you have to have fiber is just nonsense. And
Yeah.
you if you've been eating a lot of fiber, it may take you a while to adjust to it, but it's really because you've been stressing your colon and your small intestine with so much non-digestible cellulose that it takes time for the bowel to heal with proper human diet. So
Yep. Exactly.
I wanted to add that someone over in the chat
Yep.
said they had three gallbladder attacks
Oh,
when
wow.
they first started carnivore. And that's pretty much the typical story.
There it is.
If you have a sick gallbladder to begin with, you could have a gallbladder attack, but I've not heard of anyone requiring surgery because if they just get patient, their gallbladder will actually heal over time. So I was glad the person wrote that comment.
Yeah, I've put it on the screen. So it's from Briar Rose. I'll just read it. I had gallstones and sludge. When I had that healing crisis, I had 3 major attacks and could not eat for 11 days. But it took care of whatever was going on. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
Okay.
what a better result than having your gallbladder taken out and dealing with that for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like the medical system's always going to push for the gallbladder being removed because that's how they make money. Like anytime a procedure can be done as an option, it's just, oh, your gallbladder's kind of messed up. Let's remove it. My dad's got removed. My uncle's got removed. And man, like it's like their first go-to is they want to do a procedure right away.
Yeah, Chad. Well, part of that is the paradigm that we live with as doctors, that we think the best thing we can do for you is get that diseased gallbladder out. And we don't think about gallstones being reversible. And it was really funny. Prior to ultrasonography, so back in the 80s, we thought the presence of gallstones would be a reason to take the gallbladder out. That's how we were trained. And then as ultrasound became more and more common to where now they have handheld ultrasounds in the ER, we found that a lot of people have gallstones and never have a gallbladder attack and therefore have what we call incidental gallstones. But we have to wait until another generation of doctors are trained to even think that presence of gallstones is not the reason to take your gallbladder out.
Perfect. Thanks, guys, for those answers. Let's keep going since we have tons of questions. And for those who just joined the live, welcome. Long time no live to see you guys. As usual with these live streams, if I see super chats or super stickers, I will answer those first, just out of a big thank you for doing that. So here I just see A Binder 3 asking this question, and we can all help. Is it better to cook with beef tallow or bacon grease? Oh, that's a good question. I personally feel like it's up to you. I don't know if there's any specific benefit from beef tallow versus bacon grease. Of course, make sure the bacon grease or the bacon you're using has no sugar, no MSG, no dirty ingredients. I personally love cooking with beef tallow. It is just so easy and neutral. What about you, Dr. Phil?
Yeah, I would agree with you totally. I prefer bacon fat myself just for the extra flavor.
Yeah.
But I think it's up to whatever the person can do. But just remember when you're taking your bacon fat out, strain it to get the bacon particles out so it can be left on the counter. And you don't have to refrigerate it. But if you don't strain it, you need to refrigerate it. And it does have a shelf life if you have bacon particles in it. Same with tallow.
For sure.
Let me go around the room. So, Todd, bacon fat or tallow?
If I'm frying something, I fry it in tallow, but I do like to add bacon fat minced up in my beef because I think ground beef gets too dry, and the bacon fat actually makes the beef more juicy. And so I'll grind 33% of bacon up with the ground beef and smoke those as burgers. And those are really good. So basically, when I'm frying, I use tallow. If I'm adding it to the meat, I use bacon.
Awesome. Lindy?
It's hard to find clean bacon here, so tallow for me all the way.
Chad?
I'm actually not a huge fan of nitrates anymore. And maybe it's because I was so sick. And also, I'm not a fan of the diet of most pigs. And so, like, I've been noticing I've been having the most success using tallow and beef that's 100% grass fed. I honestly think the omega 6 to omega 3 ratio for people as sick as me and people with autoimmune disorders, it will make a difference. So, I would stay away from the bacon grease depending on how sick you are and stick with grass fed tallow.
Amy?
I'm putting my carnivore chili recipe right now in the chat. I don't like to cook with bacon grease. It tastes old to me. It makes my meat taste old, but I do like to put it in my carnivore chili. Just a spoonful.
Nice. Yeah, and everyone in this live, let us know, would you rather cook with bacon grease or beef tallow? Okay, let's put up the next question here. Okay, what's this one? From Super Kawaii. My male partner and I have been stuck at the same few pounds for the past month after dropping 25 pounds for him and 20 pounds for me since July. I am also trying to improve fertility with carnivore. So I guess she wants some pointers with how to improve fertility. So for that, I would just say eat more animal fats. I have seen so many women now, including my friend Rochelle. Her channel is Real Life Carnivore, struggle with infertility their whole life, and then they go carnivore, they eat all of the animal fats, and they're fertile again. So definitely try that out. Eat more fat, for sure. Let's keep going. Let's see. Lots of comments. These are all the gallbladder comments. How about this one? Shannon, I've gained 10 pounds and have been stalled for 1 month now. Wondering how to remedy to get back to losing weight as I did when I started 92 days ago. Lindy, what are your thoughts on this?
Oh, goodness. It could be a lot of things. Look, definitely priming. I found for me personally, I undereat. So priming was a really good way to kickstart that weight loss, to ramp up the metabolism, and then you can sort of fall back into your patterns. But there's so many questions there. And look, I definitely think joining a community and sharing your story on there and asking questions there is definitely a good way to go as well. So priming for me is, I guess, the first step.
I love that. Amy, what are your thoughts?
I love what Lindy said. She said the two most important things: make sure you're not under eating and get some people around you so you can bounce off ideas. They can come back with what's worked and hasn't worked for them. I thought that was a great answer.
Yes. If you guys want a community for help and you guys can continue to communicate with all of these friends right here, I'll put a link for the Steak and Butter Gang. We have 30-day challenges every single month, and we have Zoom calls pretty much every single day now. You can hop on, ask your questions, get the help that you need in there. So that is always an option if you need community and support. I'll put that in the chat. Okay, this is from Mitzi. I'm diabetic and currently prescribed Mounjaro for almost a year. Does anyone know how going carnivore may affect me and blood sugar levels? Is it safe to do both? Dr. Phil?
Well, the first question I have, Mitzi, is what are you taking for your diabetes other than Mounjaro? Because I assume that you're on some type of hypoglycemic agent. So when you're diabetic, you need to work with your doctor to let them know that you're eating differently, because probably 90% of diabetics will totally reverse their insulin resistance if you're a type 2 diabetic, and normalize their blood sugar. So during that time, you will need adjustment in your diabetic medications. Mounjaro and any of the other agonists, GLP-1 agonists, you really need to consider, is that the strategy you want to do? Because long term, it's problematic, and probably 50% of people have some long-term consequences from it. And I'm not a big fan of it, because you're trying to treat a metabolic disease by just eating less, and you're not really nourishing your body to resolve the metabolic syndrome that is causing the diabetes in the first place. So the old saying, putting lipstick on the pig, it comes to mind here. I hope no one's offended by that, but the idea is you're covering something up rather than just healing it. And eating the carnivore way of eating is a much better route for anyone who's diabetic or metabolic syndrome, to be able to reverse that metabolic syndrome and to lower your need for medication and to heal your body of the metabolic issues you have. But carnivore is safe, yes, if done correctly with your doctor as a partner.
Thank you, Dr. Phil.
May I put up?
Please.
Yeah. You got it. I wasn't sure you saw that. I wasn't sure if you were down.
Thank you, Todd.
Yep.
Yes, I saw it run out and then I went to go search for it. But thank you, Natasha's World. Not sure if this was asked already, but how many bowels per day / per week is healthy on a carnivore diet? We love these questions, or I love these questions, because like my favorite thing to observe since going carnivore is absolutely my stools and my bowel movements, because it tells so much about my digestion, about my health, and my healing journey. So I've definitely noticed my personal bowel movements per week have lessened, honestly, dramatically. Because when I was vegan, I would poop every single morning, every single day, right on the dot. Now I poop one time per week, sometimes 2 times per week. Okay, so that's for me my average 1 to 2 times per week. And I'll just go around the table to see just how different the frequency is. Anyone who's watching this live, welcome. Share in the live chat how frequently you poop per week. Dr. Phil.
And it's only going to be broadcast to everybody on YouTube, so don't worry about it.
That's right. That's right. It's a really personal question, but it's very interesting that it's probably every 5 to 7 days for me. Yeah. But when I go on that day, I actually go 2 or 3 times. It's kind of interesting, because it's not like there's a big explosion. Because the stool is so small in diameter, compared to what it was when I was eating the standard American diet, that it takes a while for my colon to evacuate. And so I typically go 2 or 3 times the day I go, and then I won't go again for a week. So it's kind of strange, but just what I do.
I love it. How about you,
Todd?
About every 4 to 5 days.
Nice.
Yep.
Lindy?
Yeah, 2 to 3 days for me, but then it depends on what I eat because I'm one of the unlucky ones that doesn't have a gallbladder. So some foods might just trigger me and disaster pants. So that can happen at any time. But if everything's good, 2 to 3 days. Yeah.
Nice. Chad?
It depends on how my fasting schedule is going. But if it's kind of like a normal week and I'm not fasting, a couple times.
A couple times.
Yeah.
How about you, Amy?
So if I'm not fasting, then it's 2 to 3 days like Lindy. But if I am fasting, then it's usually diarrhea on the second day, starting the second day. My fasting, not a lot, but it's definitely always there when I fast.
So interesting how different we all are. So hopefully that helps you, Natasha, to give you an idea that for each carnivore, it's so personal. So don't be concerned if suddenly you're going 3 times per week when you usually go every day. That's actually very normal and typical for carnivores, especially adapted ones. I just wanted to share, I'm sipping on this raw kefir. Raw means unpasteurized. So most grocery store dairy products are pasteurized these days. And that's not great because it kills all of the amazing bacteria and probiotics that can really help promote good digestion. And so what I've noticed is when I eat more raw dairy throughout the week, I do pass a bowel movement more frequently. So on the weeks where I do eat raw dairy, I will usually go twice a week. On the weeks where I do not eat any raw dairy, I'll definitely go just once a week. So that's something that I've noticed. Is there any sugar in that kefir?
Yes.
No added sugar, but there is absolutely carbs and natural sugar, which I don't mind. That's not what I'm concerned about. So let's keep going. I saw somebody ask what priming is. We did mention this term. So let me see if I can find that question. It basically is just asking what priming is. So since we have Dr. Phil here, he's the expert in physiology here. Could you explain what priming is and why we do it?
Okay, so most people are approaching a change in their way of eating based on what they've done previously, and we have a lot of things that we do as Americans in Western society, including Australia, Lindy, that people have this idea that eating less calories is the secret to weight loss, and maybe you come from a background of undereating for a long period of time. So, and people are also worried about, have you been eating a nutrient appropriate diet? So if you're coming from a vegan background, you may be low in B12 and things and certain proteins. So the whole idea of priming is eating 3 meals a day for up to 2 weeks or longer if needed to nourish your body. That puts you into a full tank type of mode so you can proceed with doing other interventions from a nourished state rather than from a undernourished state. And it helps the body to not think that you're starving itself if you go into a fast. So it actually protects your metabolism. And for me, I had a very, very slow metabolism. And I did 90 days of carnivore way of eating before I ever primed. And I pretty much stalled out after 90 days. And once I did a month of priming, not only did I lose additional weight, but my body composition totally became more favorable because I was more nourished and I didn't need to be kind of in starvation mode because I had fallen. I'm 6 foot and I'd fallen to a place where I was gaining weight on 1,500 calories a day. But as a carnivore, eat at least double that a day and still lose or maintain my weight on that. So think of priming as priming your body with good nourishment, just like you prime a water pump so that everything flows smoothly.
I love that. Thank you, Dr. Phil. Todd, how has priming changed your journey?
It's a game changer. I did I did OMADs in my first 9 months of carnivore without ever hearing priming. And of course, I got rid of, I had a lot of weight to lose, and I did lose 200 pounds doing that. But then I did completely crash my metabolism. And then I was right there where Phil was. I was eating 1,400 calories a day, and I was gaining weight, and it wouldn't move. And not to mention, I was getting depression back again. The anxiety was coming back again. And then that's when Lindy said, you should join these steak and butter crazy people. And they do this thing called priming. And I said, and it was a hard sell, right? Because I was used to when things were not moving, I get real hard headed and I go do something extreme and I stop eating or whatever. And I was used to doing that. But, I'm old now, or older anyways. And I was like, that hasn't worked for the last 26 years. So maybe try something different. So I tried the priming, and, I just done 9 months of OMADs, and then Raymond had me do priming, and that priming was actually tougher than starting carnivore. It was harder to force myself to eat than it was to start carnivore and to get off sugar. It was crazy how hard that was. But then I went from not being able to eat 1.5 pounds of meat a day to being able to eat 7 pounds of meat a day. I gained 21 pounds, lost 3 shirt sizes, my eyes healed, just everything healed. Everything healed. And my metabolism went through the roof. Like, it was crazy. And I did learn something really fantastic right then, which I just went through again because I was just doing rolling 7-day fast. But I learned what it feels like to have your metabolism crash. And I had it crash about 3 weeks ago on my last fast. Felt it, knew what it was, and now I'm repriming right now. What's crazy is, for all the people that get wigged out about gaining weight, and I'm an extreme case, but I primed for about 2.5 weeks now. I got about a half week more to go. And I've gained 32 pounds since I started priming. But I know now from doing this so many times, I will literally lose that in less than 5 days. Once I go back, I'll lose it in 5 days, the whole thing. So don't worry about that first weight. We're just healing.
And just share real quick, Todd, how much weight so far at least have you lost?
310 pounds. Yeah.
That's just incredible. And I'm sure with all of that inflammation you lost, you have only gotten incredible healing as well.
Oh yeah, the healing's the best part. Like, I haven't been able to breathe since I was 14 years old, until I did carnivore. My oxygen was always 88% saturation or less. My heart rate was always in the 90s. When I was real sick, my resting heart rate was 107 beats a minute, and I could never breathe. My lungs would just tighten up. Just the fact that, I'm off oxygen and all the medication, I can breathe. That means I can be mobile. I can move. I mean, it's no inflammation. It's just incredible. Yeah, 100%.
So
I think it's incredible that Todd was able to get off. I mean, he was oxygen dependent, so which means he was on oxygen 24 hours a day. And to be able to heal that and to get rid of the oxygen is just absolutely incredible. And to Chad's comment a while back about the gallbladder, I mean, doctors don't even think that we get people off oxygen through nutrition. That's just the last thing that doctors think of. So it's amazing, Todd, what you did.
Well, and I give that glory to God and carnivore, but I think Dr. Les and Keith nailed it, because the doctors couldn't figure out what was going on with my lungs my whole life. And I saw a specialist for 10 years, and she pegged it immediately. She goes, well, we see that all the time when we have patients that have their thoracic duct runs backwards, their lymphatic fluid gets in their lungs, and they have inflamed lungs from that. And I would almost guarantee you that was what was going on. It's the only thing that made sense,
That's incredible. I do want to hear from you, Lindy, because you have openly shared many times, and I think most of the carnivore community who's already into this community know your story, but for those who don't, share a little bit about your story and how priming has helped.
Yeah, look, I was around 750 plus pounds, plus or minus. I've no idea. The scales just said error. So starting, I actually signed up for coaching with Coach Raymond and Emily at the time, and I was scared. They're like, just eat meat, eat as much as you like, do the priming. I did struggle. I was always like, no, I need to know how much. Tell me how many grams of meat, how much fat should I have? And I was so consumed about that. And it wasn't until I listened to them and accepted, yes, just eat as much as you like, that things actually started to happen. I think the stress of trying to restrict and it was very difficult for me. But I do have, I had lap band surgery 27 years ago, so I do struggle to prime. I can't sit down and eat a whole steak. So getting enough food in for me in one hit is very difficult. So I have to like a few bites every couple of hours and just graze. And that's how I prime. And when you prime, it's not, you don't prime forever. Priming is a tool that you can use. So you only use it for, some people it's 2 weeks, it might be 6 months, as it was for Bella, depending on how much you have to heal. But it has been a great tool to kickstart. And even now, I tend to fall into under eating because I can't get the food in. Carnivore keeps me satiated. It gives me that off switch that I never had before. So if I'm not hungry, I don't eat. But then it gets to the point where I'm not eating enough and then I plateau, I stall. And so then I have to do like a mini prime just for 3 or 4 days, eat constantly throughout the day and just get those bites of food in, ramps up my metabolism again, and then it just gets the scale moving again. So it's been a fantastic tool that I can fall on throughout my journey until I get to my goals. So, yeah.
I love it. Everybody should go follow Todd and Lindy's channels. They post amazing content. They go live like every single week. So to be able to communicate here on YouTube, the community here on YouTube is fantastic, right? You have all of your favorite carnivores who are sharing their stories, interviewing each other, but then we also have live streams going on. I personally would like to do more. Let me know if you would like to see more on my channel, but I love live streaming because I can connect with my friends like I'm doing here, and just having the chemistry and the banter for me personally is what makes me so excited about this lifestyle. I saw a question asking, I can't find it anymore, but asking, you doing all these live streams and meetings, don't you guys get burnt out? No, it actually gives me more life. I personally get burnt out if I have to do things alone. And that was my piano career. And I'm so glad I'm not doing that anymore because it is so exhausting being with yourself all the time. But when you get to bounce these ideas off with each other, share the struggles, share the tips, and learn from each other, it personally gives me life. So, for those who are still curious about priming, because I see a lot of questions about it, this is actually Raymond's protocol. So, I don't want to feel like, we're totally taking ownership. This is Raymond's protocol, priming, feasting, fasting, he calls it. And he basically created this to walk you through initially healing with carnivore. So you eat, you nourish, you heal, and then he guides you through intermittent fasting and extended fasting. All of us here, we've walked through it, we've experienced it to some extent, and we've benefited from it. And it really helps to do it with a community, with a team. Everyone here is on the team. So if you're interested, the link is in the chat. Okay, let's answer some more questions.
We got a couple supers too.
Thank you. It would be great if you can put it up because I cannot find them.
No worries. That's this one, and that's for this question right here.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, I am a male, 6 feet tall. Wow. And weighed 195 pounds when I started the carnivore way. In the first 2.5 weeks, I lost 20 pounds. I'm now 175 pounds. Is it okay? Congrats. Yes. Is it okay that I lost 20 pounds that fast? So that's 1 month into carnivore. Chad, what are your thoughts first?
I think that when we go carnivore, we get most in alignment of what our ancestral DNA is. And so your body will oftentimes get to the weight that it wants to be. I think we get hung up about weight because for the longest time, it was about you don't want to lose weight fast because then you'll yo-yo. And so there was kind of like a taboo to lose weight too fast because you were scared to gain it all back. But when you're on the proper human diet, I think that your body will get to a proper human weight that is designed for you. And depending on what your regimen is in working out and fasting and things like that, your body will adapt to exactly where it wants to go. So follow the protocol, and I promise your body will end up getting to a place where it's designed to be. So don't worry about the numbers on the scales. Don't worry about the numbers everywhere else. Just if you're following this protocol, like I said, just trust in the fact that you are becoming healthier and healthier and healthier, and that metabolic health result will come out however you look physiologically.
What are your thoughts, Todd?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first of all, it's just mostly inflammation that comes off first. I mean, I've literally When I was having a wishing time, getting rid of some inflammation and some fluid, I've literally peed out 32 pounds in a 12-hour period before. And I mean, it's crazy. And I was an extreme example, but I mean, Lindy, you were losing 100 pounds a month there for a while of inflammation and fluid.
Yeah, in
So,
the first 3 months, everyone was like, "You can't lose that much fat, you're gonna die." And it's like, who said it was fat? Weight loss, it could be the water retention. I was full of
well,
edema.
well,
So
I can't be fat. Like, I don't think you can. I don't even think it's possible. And I
no.
totally relate to that because I get so many comments in my YouTube channel of this people going, "Oh, this guy says he lost 44 pounds in a month. It's probably just water weight." And I'm like, "Of course, a lot of it's water weight. I don't care. It's still
Yeah.
weight."
Exactly. Yeah. And I see those comments that keep hating on Lindy. Like whenever I interview Lindy on my channel, and I've interviewed her multiple times now, I get notified of these comments saying, like, she's lying. She's definitely not honest. There's no way you can lose 100 pounds a month. Look, Lindy is the last person to lie. I have met her in person. She is literally a walking angel. And so why would she lie? And also, I've seen her before and after photos. I post it as frequently as possible to the point where people are saying, I don't want to see Lindy anymore. That's how obsessed I am of Lindy. She's so amazing. But I'm telling you this because carnivore is changing lives. You can choose to hate, you can choose to assume. But if you just look at these people and how happy we are, like look at these vibrant faces right here, smiling. Just give it a chance, instead of making assumptions and hating, give it a chance. Dr. Phil, what are your thoughts? Is it impossible to lose 100 pounds per month?
Well, I love how Chad answered this because he did such a good job with it. But so as a doctor, I was taught, a pound of fat is 3,500 calories in a pound of fat. So losing 20 pounds in 2.5 weeks would be burning up 70,000 calories. Now,
Right.
does that seem physically possible that anyone could do a calorie deficit of 70,000 calories in 2 weeks? I mean, it's an impossibility. So it's just so hilarious because we have all this mindset because of what we're taught in dietary school and medical school and human biology and physiology. And of course, there's a lot of fluid shifts, but it's more hormonal than anything else. And what I liked about Chad's answer was he said, it's about getting your body healthy. And that is correcting the hormonal imbalances. And people don't realize that glucose molecules are surrounded with water. And so as you begin to normalize your insulin and get rid of insulin resistance, one of the first things that happens is you shed a lot of what we call third space fluid, which are in your lymphatics and around your cells. And that's why these rapid shifts. And there's nothing unhealthy. I put a lady in a hospital once with cellulitis, and overnight she lost 32 pounds just being a bed rest with her feet up and not being fed. And there was nothing unhealthy about that. That unloads your heart. It makes your physiology work better. Your heart's working better. Your lungs work better. Your liver and kidneys work better. And of course, it's not harmful. Now, some of the studies that were about rapid weight loss are not only about rebounding, but they're also about back to the gallbladder. There's a lot of people that had rapid body weight loss who had an increased incidence of gallbladder attacks. And of course, as we talked earlier, people then see their doctor, they have a gallbladder attack, they have sludge, end up getting their gallbladder taken out because we don't understand that if you're eating right, the gallbladder will take care of itself if you give it enough time. So we have these kind of dogma that we live. So I think one thing as a carnivore, I get really curious, and we talk about the importance of having a big why, but I always also like to talk about having a big curiosity on what should I expect and why are these things happening to me? Because I would say you're probably a lot healthier down 20 pounds in 2.5 weeks because your body was doing something it really didn't want to do, but it was doing because of your diet.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you guys. And
Okay,
Lindy, yeah,
sorry.
is there another one?
There is. Let me go back to it.
Okay.
So it's
Definitely don't want to miss those.
So
Thank you,
it's
Todd.
Brian Jackson, and then that was in regards to, I saw you
Okay.
flash it to this right here. He was following up. Apparently, he's having heart palpitations. He was the one that lost 20 pounds so quickly, and that's why he's wondering about heart palpitations. If he should worry about it.
Oh, so he's losing weight quickly and he's worried about the heart palpitations. Okay. Dr. Phil, you take this.
I get stuck with everything. So there's lots of reasons to have heart palpitations. So first off, what is a heart palpitation? A heart palpitation is the sensation that you're feeling your heart beating. Okay. So just the fact that you're feeling your heart beating is not always a problem. And as you're going through these massive fluid shifts, your heart rate may temporarily increase and decrease. And that in and of itself is just the physiologic response. Now, if you're having an irregular heartbeat, which you tell by putting your fingers on your pulse at your wrist, and if you're feeling nice, normal heartbeats, but occasionally you skip a beat or something like that, those are usually benign. But if every beat is at a different cadence, that's something you should definitely go see your doctor about, because it could be something called atrial fibrillation, which I get once in a while, but it's not because I'm carnivore. It's because I had a heart infection in 2001 and did some damage to my heart. So I'm happy that my heart's doing so much better as a carnivore because I'm carrying around less weight and less metabolic illness.
Amazing. Thank you, Dr. Phil. Let me put up the next. Do we have any more super stickers or super chats?
No,
Okay.
not so far.
Perfect. Let's keep going with this one from Kelly. I'm 62. I'm female, starting my 9th month of carnivore. No sugar, no vegetables, no bad stuff. My A1C, my A1C started at 4.9. 3 months in, it is now 5.1, and now it is 5.7. So her A1C is going up. Do I need to be concerned, Dr. Phil?
Oh no. Quit asking all these medical questions. Actually, 4.9 is actually a very, very low blood sugar. And I'm wondering, we normally don't see hemoglobin A1Cs that low. We usually see them in the fives. And 5.7 is elevated. So the question is, are you overloading with more protein than you need to be? Because some people get a lot of gluconeogenesis because they're seeing carnivore as a high protein diet. And carnivore is usually a adequate protein diet, high fat diet. So when I see creeping up hemoglobin A1Cs, the question is there an increase in cortisol because of some external stressor, some not getting adequate sleep, not moving enough, or are you consuming an incredibly high protein diet? So those would be the things I would be looking at. 5.7 in a single reading is not a problem. I don't like the trend, but I also think 4.9 was artificially low. So I think 5.1 to 5.6 is where most people live, but 5% of the normal population that are non-diabetic have hemoglobin A1Cs in the higher than 5.6 up to about 5.9. So a single reading at 5.7 is not necessarily something to worry about, but I would investigate whether you're overdoing it on protein and getting more gluconeogenesis than you need to.
Thank you, Dr. Phil. Has anyone here measured their A1C lately and know what it is? Yeah, Chad, what's your A1C?
I just actually did all my lab work, and I was going to ask about this,
Oh, nice.
especially Dr. Phil. One thing I was wondering is, as I've gone carnivore, all my cholesterol has gone down, except my HDL has gone up. which I thought was very interesting. But my
Yep.
fasting glucose, I used to be hypoglycemic in my fasting glucose. Now it's gone up to the normal range. It used to be too low. And the same thing with my hemoglobin A1C. I'm going to look up the numbers right now. So my went from too low of a range to a healthy range. So is it the fact that when you start going carnivore, all these things just kind of naturally balance out? If you're too low, it brings it up a little bit, depending on what your body needs. If it's too high, it brings it down a little bit.
Yeah, great question, Chad. And the again, let's talk about the diabetic population versus the non-diabetic population. So we have kind of this dogma that if your blood sugar is low, that's necessarily bad. And as you switch to fat metabolism, there's a natural tendency for the blood sugar to go lower and be tolerated. But we actually have day-to-day fluctuations of blood sugar all the time. There was a recent influencer that said, "Oh, I added vegetables back in and my fasting blood sugar went from 95 to 92, and that's really good." And it's like, that's such malarkey. If you do your blood sugar every 30 minutes, you're going to get variation more than that. So the creeping up, though, into the high 90s, the low hundreds, and I'm talking about fasting blood sugar, is usually an indication that you're doing more gluconeogenesis. And as I said, as we do more exercise, as we have stressors, and stressors can be psychological stress, it can be new exercise routines that we're doing, can be weather changes, temperature changes in your environment, can be new jobs, can be a boss you don't like. I mean, there's so many things that affect our cortisol that I would say you normalize your blood sugar and then you quit measuring it, because I think we over measure it. And, doing a hemoglobin A1C every quarter while you're trying to get it normalized, and then probably once a year after that. But you're absolutely right, Chad, that most people will see an increase in their HDL, which is cardioprotected. And I saw someone wrote a comment that their fasting blood sugar went up, or their fasting cholesterol went up to like 400, and their LDL is real high. That happened to me too, but my HDL is 68. My triglycerides are like 72. You want your triglycerides less than 150, your HDL greater than 50 if you're a man. And if those are good and you don't have pre-existing atherosclerosis, you shouldn't really worry about the LDL. Now, if you do have atherosclerotic heart disease or something like a prior stroke or a aneurysm of your abdominal aortic aneurysm or carotid stenosis, you do have to worry about your LDL and look at that and work with your doctor on strategies and monitor that. So I think we have to look at risk factors and realize our body will change, but a very high LDL fragment that is the fluffy big LDL is because you're fat adapted and you're using that LDL to transport energy to your cells. And that's a totally normal process for most people. And we do want that HDL to be high and those triglycerides to be low. And if you were really sick with your cholesterol, you would see your triglycerides being really, really high. So low triglycerides is a great sign of good metabolic health.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. Let's keep going. Let me, did I miss any, Todd?
No, if you go up to the top of the page and hit so next to live, it says starred files up there.
Okay, let me see.
It says 46. I starred all the questions for you so you can kind of.
I don't see that. Weird.
Oh, okay, weird. Well, no worries.
You can put it up for me if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me do that. All right.
So to answer your question, Dr. Phil, and Bella, my hemoglobin A1C was 5.5, which is much better than it used to be and within that normal range. But what's very interesting is at one point in my life, my testosterone was in the 100s. and my testosterone in this last panel was 684. So just naturally, without taking TRT, and I wasn't even when I went this, I wasn't even like I think I'm a lot more strict carnivore now and doing better with the fasting and the feasting. I was actually kind of struggling when I got these lab results. So anyway, without TRT and without any sort of extra supplements, I got my testosterone up 500 plus points. And I also got my TSH, my thyroid, back in order. So I thought that was interesting. It's just kind of cool. Like I knew I was getting healthier, but I didn't realize how much when I see my biomarkers. It's kind of cool.
Well, I'd like to put in a different perspective. Your testosterone has increased almost 600%.
Oh yeah.
So,
Wow. Oh.
yeah, every man should be excited about that.
Nice. That is so cool. Yeah, and I hear it all the time with men who go carnivore, the testosterone goes up. And all of us here, we're so passionate about mental health. And I personally think when you heal, your mental health also heals along with it physically. So if anyone here has topic requests or questions about mental health, that's one of our favorite topics to discuss, especially Todd and especially Chad, Combat Carnivore here. So feel free to ask those as well. It definitely does help to put a capital triple Q. Okay, Q, and then type your questions so we can really see your questions. Those stand out. Fred, how did the carnivore diet impact the menstrual cycle of the girls here? If any of you did see a change, how long did it take to normalize? I'll go first real quick. Menstrual cycle for me, I regained it. So I went from no period, amenorrhea, to having a period every single month. And it was 2 years of no period. Thank you, vegan diet, for that. And then after going carnivore and eating so much fat, specifically sticks of butter, because that's just what I craved, I brought back my period in just 2 to 3 months. That's incredible, because I hear all of these vegan girls who don't have their period and they struggle so much with bringing it back. I know so many girls and young women who are trying to heal their hormones and bring back their period, and every single time they go carnivore or high fat, eventually it comes back. I think this is really the best way to bring back a period when you don't have one. So those are my thoughts. Amy, what are yours?
I'm 50. I'll be 52 next month, and I'm still cycling, which means that I'm still enjoying the benefits of my hormones. But I want to tell you, in Steak and Butter Gang, we get to hear all these amazing stories. And there's a woman who's 64 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And she lost her period when she was 41. She's now on her 6th or 7th month of having a period at 64 years old because of eating a lot of, like Bella just said, meat and fat. And so that is really, I mean, it doesn't mean that she's going to go out and have a baby, but it means that her hormones are still working for her. So I think that's amazing.
Exactly. Yeah, let me just reiterate that we have a member in the Steak and Butter Gang, and we always bring her up. If she's in the meeting, we celebrate it, and I'm sure she's so tired of it by now. But so she's in her 60s or 70s, Amy?
She's 64.
64, and she didn't have her period, so basically she thought she was in menopause, and then she started priming and eating way more fat as well, and her period came back. Like, if that doesn't say that brings fertility to you, I don't know what else. And it's also a healing sign as well. So that's very, very fascinating that these types of things happen. Lindy, what are your thoughts?
Oh gosh, well, I haven't had mine for over 20 years, and I think it's because I was so overweight, and I'm probably still healing, so maybe it will come back. I'll be almost 3 years carnivore in January. So yeah, I don't know. I'm 53 now, so whether menopause is hit now, it might not ever come back. Like, I'm not fussed. I mean, I just continue doing this because I feel amazing and, you know, getting the benefits that I need. So, yeah, watch this space, I guess.
I love it. All the ladies here in this live. Yeah, Dr. Phil, go ahead.
I think you should comment about body composition, because that's the other side of sex hormone normalization.
So do you mean like for women when our hormones are balanced and actually happy, some things in our female parts change. Is that what you want to talk
Yes.
about?
Yes.
Okay,
I want you to
sure.
talk about.
Yeah, I talk about this openly and all the time because it's something that I find like quite a surprising perk of this lifestyle is perky butter boobs. Yes, Miss E says butter boobs, hashtag butter boobs. Yeah, I call it butter boobs because I've literally seen my body change into like having a fuller chest, okay, having a fuller bum, okay, and yet my bloat is gone. So of course that's great. Like as a female, I don't have to have bloat anymore. Sign me up for that. And at the same time, like I feel like my body continued to develop after going carnivore. So for a lot of women, not just in their, 20s or 30s, also older women are seeing positive changes in their body composition. Like don't be shy. If the women here would like to chime in and share what you're seeing with your body, do share because this is definitely a very attractive thing about this lifestyle. Whenever I talk about the butter boobs, that's when the women perk up. That's when they're like, tell me more. I'm curious now. Oh, okay. I'm going to try it now. So I get it. It's a big part of why we want to try different diets and lifestyles. Amy, what have you seen with your body?
Well, I have a joke that I could put my hands on both my waist and my boobs at the same time because, but after carnivore, do you guys get that joke?
Hold on, I need to process it. Wait. So you're saying your hands on your
you shouldn't be thinking about it that long.
Wait, I don't get it.
So as you age, and
Some settling occurs.
as
Gravity.
you age and as you breastfeed and everything, the elasticity, there's not quite as much lift, right? So you put your hands down on your waist and your boobs might be down there too. But I'll tell you what, if you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, you definitely get elasticity back, to an extent. For me, it's night and day, really.
Yeah.
It really is. And when you lose a lot of body fat like I did, then it also contributes to the loss of elasticity. So I have found eating a lot of tallow has really helped lift me back up.
That tallow sculpt. We love it. Now we have like catchphrases: butter boobs, tallow sculpt. I have seen so many women report back tighter skin, less cellulite, less stretch marks, just by changing the way they eat. It is powerful. So men, tell all of your wives to go carnivore.
Oh, my wife, she has had 5 pregnancy, 4 kids, and she has bounced back. Now being carnivore, my youngest kid is 7. She looks better now. Like by the way, thank you for the advice. I am super happy with the results of carnivore for my wife. So yeah,
Nice.
I would strongly agree from an objective outside perspective.
Yep, absolutely. And for men, I'm sure you guys have seen great body recomposition. We're not interested in that. Okay, let me just put this up here. I thought you were around 28 to you, Amy.
You're my favorite person. Whoever you are.
We love it. Okay, did I miss any super chats, Todd?
Let me go back and check, but I don't think so. I'll put that up there while I double check.
Okay, perfect. Because I thought I saw like a neon color, but let me do this. Julie wants to know, I would like to hear suggestions for when you have an attack of, I can handle this, like for a diet soda or something fried or keto ice cream or something that leads to relapse. Amy, you got to start.
So the best antidote for cravings is to make sure that you're not under eating, hands down. So that's your first level of defense, is making sure that you are putting a lot of meat and fat in your body, even when you're not hungry. That's key. And then their second defense is go ahead and try to eat more fat take steps when you have a craving. But for me, I had terrible, I'm a sugar addict. So every time I ate a meal the first 3 months, my sugar cravings would just go through the roof because it stimulates that whole dopamine reaction. And I would eat about a quarter of a block of cream cheese, and it would just make my sugar cravings go down. So if that's your friend, make sure you eat all of the carnivore food. It will protect you from your cravings.
I love that.
Can I add something to that? And I also would like to bounce this off Dr. Phil. The biggest thing that helped me get through is when you're going through those cravings, especially as you're converting to carnivore, you're going to a different fuel source, and your body is now relying on 100% of its energy from these fatty foods and these proteins. And what I noticed is that when I did something, so your body is asking you for all these nutrients, and it wants the easiest version of those nutrients. And especially if you're eating steak and stuff all the time, now that might be a different conversion that your body's not used to. So it's not necessarily the path of least resistance. So what I ended up doing after studying a little bit is I made bone broth my best friend. And so when I was having cravings, I would have some bone broth, and that liquid nutrients would go straight through, and then the cravings would just be killed. And then I was good to go for a little while longer. So I just had like bone broth on tap pretty much. And so that really helped me get through a lot of the symptoms, a lot of the cravings. And so that was kind of my rationality, and it helped with me so much.
That's a great idea. Can I ask you, when you make your own bone broth, do you strain out the fat, or did you have the bone broth with the fat in it?
So actually, what I did, because I was having such issues with my gallbladder, I put it in the fridge right after it was done. I got the top layer of fat, and I used that for cooking for a while. And then, I
So the
would just do
bone
the
broth
bone broth.
did keep your cravings down then without fat in it? Oh, that's good. I'm going to recommend that to people.
Yeah, because I think I was getting enough fat, but I feel like my body was just like having such a hard time getting used to the new energy source. By getting those nutrients to my body quickly when it was like felt like it was crashing, I think that was like a liquid form of that nutrients was the fastest. Now, I wouldn't necessarily, like, I don't even have bone broth anymore, but during that transition period, I think it was the thing that got me through.
That's awesome. I learned something new every day. Thank you for that, both of you. And yes, Amy is adorable. Wait, I wanted to put that up. Okay. Oh, well.
So, I can go back.
No worries. No worries. I don't know where it is, but I just love, I love all of your like comments. I wish during live streams, I don't have to talk all the time, or like, I don't have to answer questions, because I do really want to hear from you guys. I see so many comments about the body recomposition, and I'm just smiling so much reading them. I'll feature it after the super chat. Okay. Steak Lover says, please talk about how to break stalls. Great question. We can talk for hours on this, I'm sure. Let me just start with Dr. Phil first, and we'll go around the table.
Oh, well, actually, this is more of a coach's question. So I'm gonna skip and let someone else talk, because we have some great experiences here.
Yeah, for me, the stall was caused by, well, many things caused my stall. A couple of stalls I was on. Winter seems to do it for me. And I'm in a cold climate, but also under eating. And so for me, anytime anything's going wrong, the answer is pretty much always actually eat and prime. The priming is always what pulls me out of it. And then once my body feels pretty safe, pretty happy, pretty satiated, then makes it really easy to fast. And when I'm fasting, a nourish primed fast is super efficient. Otherwise, it's not. It's just another calorie restricted diet that didn't work for 26 years and just hurt my metabolism. So I would say eat.
How about you, Lindy?
Yeah, under eating is a big thing for me with the lap band, as I mentioned earlier, and I just don't have the hunger. I'm not hungry, so I don't eat. I have that off switch, and so I tend to under eat all the time. So yeah, priming is definitely my tool to break my stall, and then it's an ongoing cycle for me.
I love it. Chad?
Yeah, I would also like to ask, it's not always about diet. It's about how your body is moving. Are you getting in the sun? What are you doing with your circadian rhythm? What are you doing with the type of water that you're drinking and the stressors that you're dealing with? So especially like with your workout, like for me, I do Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, but I only do resistance training for 10 minutes a day now at most. Just high intensity, low volume. I try to max out my workout within 10 minutes. And I've had better results going to failure with that than spending 3 hours in the gym. So as I go through this process, what I do with my day, like what my daily routine looks like, has drastically changed my body composition. And so maybe look into what you're doing for your circadian rhythm and what you're doing in terms of working out, and that might actually help change up the core and the skeleton of your metabolism, and maybe that might be why you're stalling.
Great tip. Amy?
I'm so proud that everybody said eat more.
Yeah.
So our group is the only place you can go where we say, oh, you're trying to lose weight, you need to stuff yourself full of food until you almost feel sick. That's what we tell you to do, because we're trying to trick your body into feeling safe. And once your body feels safe, then it may be willing to let go of the resource of body fat. Okay, the resource of body fat. But the second thing is, it's not always bad to have a stall. That's when you lose some of your visceral fat. That's when your body starts to go through. Your body might not be working on losing the body fat because it's still using it as a source of energy to go around to your body and heal various things like your skin, grow your hair. Don't be afraid of a stall. Third thing is, if you really want to get down and dirty, on the first day of your water fast, do some dry fasting. That will also break a stall.
Wow. All great points. And I'll add to this. With weight stalls, I do want to also shed some light on the fact that people who go carnivore may initially gain weight. Now, don't freak out if you gain weight initially, because that is a time period where you can finally embrace healing, resting, recovering, nourishing. All of these things, I'm sure a lot of us, it's been a while since we focused on. Instead, we've been killing ourselves in the gyms, doing all of the juice cleanses or the fad diets to try to lose weight in less than 14 days. So I hope to just inspire you guys with all of these fantastic stories and friends here to just slow down. Like, slow down and just take care of yourself. So weight stall is not necessarily a bad thing at all. Embrace it. It also depends how long have you been stalled. Then we can start troubleshooting. Like, this is such a general question, and I wish I could get more details. So for anyone who is struggling or who just wants some more community and support, I'm just gonna shamelessly share, because it's been an hour and a half now since I shared it in the beginning. We have a community. All of these faces are in there. All of these faces help out passionately in there. I see a lot of our Steak and Butter Gang members in the chat buzzing about as well. Thank you for showing up. But the Steak and Butter Gang is such a great place to ask questions, get the support, find your friends. We've had some carnivore couples even as well in the Steak and Butter Gang form. Okay. So it is just a great place to meet people who get it. So I'll put the link in that chat. Hi, Charmaine. She's from the Steak and Butter Gang. Just saw her speak today. Hi, Mike. It's also in the description box. So if you're watching the playback to this live, just open it up and join us anytime. Yay, I can't wait to see you guys. Okay, let's keep going. Next question, if you don't mind, Todd.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ari, hi. I used to love eggs since carnivore, but they don't taste the same. Any ideas? So interesting. I wonder why.
Well, I was gonna. Oh,
Yeah.
Todd,
So-
go ahead.
yeah. So my taste buds changed and got a lot better, as far as I'm concerned. But one thing that did happen to me, that's why I thought this was an interesting question, was that I couldn't eat store-bought eggs anymore, or at least the cheap ones, because they taste like they're terrible. And so I ended up having to go to the farm fresh cage-free eggs, because like my body was rejecting the cheap mass-grown ones. And so I totally relate with that. I had to go to the real eggs, and I didn't know that until I got my own chickens. And I was like, okay, I haven't actually been eating eggs all this time. I don't know what they're made out of, but they're not natural for sure.
That is such a good point because now my taste buds are so acute. Like they're so sensitive. If I go to a restaurant and everybody chime in the live chat, if you guys go to a restaurant, can you tell if they even sometimes added seed oils? You know, like
Mm.
now I almost want to I don't want to sound all dramatic, but I almost want to puke when it's in my mouth because it's like this is not real ribeye. This is not
Right.
just straight up ribeye. That's how sensitive my taste buds are.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
I would agree, but I just did a video on my channel about eggs and how it's a lot more nuanced than what we realized. And there are anti-nutrients and defense chemicals within egg whites to protect themselves in the wild from predation. So a lot of people don't know that, but there's a proteinase and protease inhibitors within the egg whites that actually stop the absorption of digesting protein. So if this is one of the reasons why a lot of people who go carnivore have issues with eggs still, that if you're sick or you have an autoimmune disorder, you might still have some problems with eggs. And before, when you're eating a lot more matter and your body was dealing with all sorts of toxins, it wasn't hyper focused on just eggs. But now that a lot of your diets got cleaned up, it can hyper focus on the little bit that is damaging it. And that might be eggs for a little while. So egg whites, if you're going to continue with eggs, I would suggest doing more of a raw egg yolk, and I would stay away from the egg whites if you're having troubles with eggs, in my opinion.
Right. Good point. Good point. Anyone else want to chime in on this egg question?
Yeah. I want to take it a little different. That from time to time, I lose my taste for a variety of foods, and so rotating my foods around is all I do. And it's amazing how many times ground beef is what rescues me when I get.
Oh,
I mean, the first 9 months of carnivore, I probably ate, at least one ribeye every day. And then I totally lost my taste for ribeyes. I couldn't eating a steak if you had paid me for it. And so switching around to eggs, switching around to ground beef. And Bella's got some great ground beef recipes that I couldn't believe it. She posted a video on her 10 best ground beef recipes the day that I developed a meat aversion to ribeyes, and I went to ground beef for 2-3 weeks, and it was probably 2 months before I got my ribeye legs back. And now I rotate. Like this week, I've made a 12-pound pork belly. I've made 12 pounds of picante.
Nice.
Yeah, and I rotate around a lot and do eat a lot of eggs, but I agree with Todd that I have to get the better eggs.
Yeah.
I like what Dr. Phil said, Bella.
Yeah.
Once he said, your body's so smart, it's going to tell you that you don't want to eat a certain food, that it doesn't taste good to you anymore. So maybe guiding you toward a different nutrient profile. And I think that's fascinating.
Absolutely. I mean, everything that you guys are sharing is fascinating. I learn so much from conversation all the time. And for me, like duck egg versus quail egg versus chicken egg even tastes so dramatically different to me now. Some taste sweet, some taste very eggy. So I think that's the beauty of going carnivore and eating so clean. You get to enjoy Mother Nature's flavors. It just tastes so good. I don't even need salt or seasonings anymore. It's so great. Yeah. Anyways, I just wanted to feature some of your guys' comments.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. And then we'll do questions again. So sorry, but I get so excited when I know that someone's going to join the community because we get to meet you on Zoom. It's seriously such a happy family in there. You can cry, you can crack jokes. Oh, somebody has an echo. Let me just see. Is it me? Sorry. It's just such an open family. Oh, do you guys hear an echo or is it just me?
I do, a small one.
Let's see. I don't know if that's me, but I don't hear it anymore. Okay, so we're good. Oh, I just heard it. It's okay. Let's just try to make sure we're not playing any extra tabs, but it should be fine. Okay, yeah. So if you want community, it's linked in the description box. Okay, and we would be so happy to welcome you in with open arms. I did want to feature some body recomp comments here because All the gentlemen and the ladies are chiming in, and it's so awesome. So let me just scroll up. I saw so many cool changes. Okay, so hashtag butter boobs. Tallow boobs are also a thing if you don't eat butter. Yes. So same benefit happens, ladies. You can get that female body recomposition. You get that waistline, but also your booty and your breasts actually grow if you want it to grow. Okay. It can when you eat a lot of animal fats. It's amazing. Not seeing changes yet. It's okay. It could take some time. Still trying to overcome the lipedema. Well, Lindy, you have to speak on that. How has
Yeah.
carnivore helped your lipedema?
Well, I'd love to have the small waist and small bottom because my bottom's big. And look, it is happening. I am losing weight, and I'm always going to have lipedema, but I'm embracing the shape. I'm always going to have those problems. I'm always going to have loose skin. It's just the nature of the beast. I got myself here, and I have to accept that. But I'm starting to love myself. I'm loving my shape, and it's only going to get better. And I believe that I am doing the best thing for my body by eating carnivore than if I had any other diet. Like I feel like I should have a lot more loose skin than I do. I think carnivore is reducing that. I still do have a huge problem with loose skin, but I did expect it to be a lot worse than it is. So you just trust the process. There's no rush. Carnivore is not a diet. Carnivore is a lifestyle, and this is how I'm going to live for the rest of my life. And it is just going to gradually improve over time. And I just look to the long term and just love what you see today and know it's only going to get better in the future.
Okay, Lindy's being modest. I've met her in person multiple times now. She's lost 500 pounds, at least 500 pounds now, and she is compact. Okay, so I don't see any loose skin. I hug her, I hold her. Like, it is incredible the power of eating meat and animal fats with skin tightening and also body recomposition. Yes, butter bums too. Wait, I wanted to share this from a gentleman. Oh, Miss E. I got butter boobs without eating butter, just tallow. Okay, so another tallow benefit right there. I think it helps wrinkles too, says Ryan. Breyer says gravity happens to guys too. It's not just a girl thing. Todd, have you seen any reversal of that? Oh no, wait, you're muted. We don't hear you.
Oh, sorry. No, gravity's not my friend right now, but that's okay. I'm gonna have to get that fixed with surgery. But what I was gonna say is that there's such, I don't know, I guess we could coin it butter moobs, because it's the exact opposite for dudes, man boobs, because those are going away, which is it's a good thing. So
that's a good thing.
yeah. So that composition change is real for sure.
That's fantastic. Ooh, Daryl says I have a neck now instead of one chin. That's so awesome. Scooby the dog says my bum and boobs are a little bigger. Not sure if I like the bum. I have gained weight though, but my stomach got bigger too. So again, that initial weight gain for carnivore, embrace it, especially if you're female. Okay, because it's only after the initial healing, like let's say your body actually needed to heal and gain that weight, it's okay. Go through that. And then once you start troubleshooting and trying out different modalities, maybe you want to try intermittent fasting or extended fasting, or you might want to do, like, what are some other things that carnivores do? I only do intermittent fasting. And then maybe you want to try out fitness for once, like me right now. Those are all options to get the body recomposition and fat loss going. There's so many modalities after you've healed. Okay.
Let's not forget Dr. O'Mara's sprinting.
That is such a good one.
And strangles. Sorry, he was on my show and he agreed that fighting. I know maybe you're not wanting to go do jujitsu right now. I totally get that. But
right.
Sprints and simulating fighting. Yeah.
Yeah. Amy is a beast in the gym. If you guys don't follow her on Instagram, Amy, type your Instagram handle honestly, all of us, we should type it. I'll make sure to link it in the description for those who are watching the playback. Each and every one of you guys who are on social media, Dr. Phil's not on social media. He's exclusive to the Steak and Butter Gang, right? And here in live stream. But everyone on social media here, there's fantastic, great content, keeps you motivated, especially Amy in the gym. Okay. Awesome. Let's go back to questions. Okay, Nan, she says, I'll do this real quick. I cannot sleep on keto and carnivore. Why? Please help. So many culprits here.
Is there coffee? Is there coffee still in this diet? Are
That's a good
sweeteners?
question. Yeah. Nan, if you're still here, feel free to share details. Are you drinking coffee? Are you honestly are you eating enough? Because I remember I had the worst sleep issues and the worst insomnia when I was starving, when I wasn't eating enough. When I finally nourished, I was able to sleep like a baby. Lindy, sleep troubleshooting tips.
Yeah, look, I'm going through a high stress period at the moment. So high cortisol levels does affect my sleep. And I've found just jumping on the vibration plate, it sort of gets the circulation pumping and it just relaxes my whole body. And I sleep like a baby after that. So for 15 minutes before I go to bed, it just warms up my body, gets everything moving, and then I'm out like a light. So vibration plate is helping me. I use the vibration plate mainly for lymphatic issues, and I'm just finding so many other benefits using this plate. So if you Google that vibration plate and sleep, it'll actually tell you that it relaxes you, and that was just something I found out on my own as a fluke. So
I love
give
that.
that a try.
How about you, Amy?
I didn't sleep for the first 5.5 months. Really. My sleep was broken. I was up all night peeing or with leg or foot cramps. During that time frame, my body was shedding inflammation, shedding water, adjusting its energy system. I didn't really feel not rested though. When I think back on that time, I definitely wasn't getting enough sleep, but for some reason, it was enough to function. And so I don't want to tell you that's going to be your situation. I would take the tips here, like what Lindy said. But there is a time frame when your body's adjusting or when you're fasting that you're not going to sleep well.
Right.
Bella's right. Eating is key for sleep.
Also, isn't there a relationship between dopamine and melatonin? So that way, like if you were, for example, to eat right when you wake up in the morning, not only do you remove your motivational chemicals, but you also release that dopamine early on in the day. And if you were to kind of like wait maybe until a little bit later in the day and then kind of get enough of your protein and fat more in a late afternoon or evening setting, then you would get that dopamine release, and then you would feel safer, and then you would get the melatonin, and then it would be a little bit better on your circadian rhythm and sleep cycles. That could be one of the issues too. And also not getting enough protein within a short amount of time in order for kidney function. That's kind of what I've researched before when I was having problems. And now I sleep like a baby.
Nice.
And I think regulating your circadian rhythms is so important. Trying to pick a time you go to bed, a time you get up, watch the sun rising, take your shoes off and walk out on the lawn and do some grounding. There's all kinds of things you can do. We had a hurricane come through Tampa Bay today, and last night the wind started and all, and I didn't sleep well because of the cortisol levels. Thinking about the storm, thinking about the wind and what I need to do to deal with going through the storm, and it disrupted my sleep. So, but that's a normal thing. That's part of your adaptation. So the cortisol effect can be more of a fact, but getting your circadian rhythms normalized, it may be challenging for some people, but it's worth the effort.
Amazing tips. Thanks, guys. Todd, you can put up the next question now. Great. Okay, Jorge. Hi. Oh my gosh. Jorge I just need to give him a shout out. He comments, he's one of the first comments under every single one of my YouTube videos. I see you and I really appreciate your support. Thank you, Jorge. Isabella, he knows my full name. Isabella, if you had to guess how much protein a day do you eat and how many calories? Thank you. Well, these days I'm eating 3 pounds of beef, I would say, because I'm now eating 2 meals a day, 3 pounds of beef per day, because I am going to the gym now for the first time in like 6 years of healing. Yes, I know. Amy is very proud and she inspires me. But when I go to the gym, I'm very, very hungry. So I typically eat 3 pounds of 3 pounds of meat a day. And then what did he ask? How much protein? I have no idea how much protein that is. Yeah. How many calories? I honestly don't know. 3 pounds of beef. Let's say 3 pounds of
Well-
80/20 ground beef.
Yeah, so I think if I were to calculate that, that would be right like 230-ish if you said 80/20
Mhm.
pounds or
80/20.
grams of protein, and that would be a little bit over 3,000 calories, I want to say.
Okay. Yeah. And that's not all. I also drink like a whole thing of these. So I think there's like 700 calories. I remember checking that. So add that to the calories per day. And I don't know how much protein is in here, but there's a lot of fat in here. Okay. So I'm just trying to make a point here. Oh, I see Scooby says, you look so tiny. I eat more than anyone that I know, even my own husband, Max. I eat like twice the amount that he eats. So I eat so much, yet somehow I'm the smallest I've ever been. It doesn't make sense. But I see this so much with women, okay, who go carnivore and who just embrace that ravenous hunger and that appetite. So something is happening to these women who go carnivore and they are shrinking yet eating more than they ever have. So I think that's really inspiring. You're
So,
welcome, Jorge. Yeah.
Bella, your calories, and you said about 1 cup of raw kefir and 3 pounds of 80/20, right?
Yeah.
That's 3,475 calories.
That's not
And
1 cup though. That's 4 cups.
oh, you
Yeah.
drink 4 cups. So
Absolutely, Chad.
if we were going to do 4 cups, then we're talking 3,693 calories.
Okay.
And that is a ratio of 71% fat to 28% protein. That's 247.9 grams of protein.
There you go, Jorge. You asked. And I just want to make it clear though, do you have to track all of this? Do you have to count calories? What is your answer, Todd?
No.
Yeah.
Heck no. No, it's sometimes I, at first I actually did like tracking it a little bit just because I didn't know what these fat ratios would look like. And so if I felt good on a day, it was kind of handy so that I could repeat the process. But after once you get to be able to listen to your body, it doesn't matter. You just do what your body wants and it tracks just fine.
Yeah. Lindy, I don't think you restricted calories when you lost your 500 pounds, did you?
Oh, not at all. Math, I don't have a head for math. So doing the figures, macros, I just can't do it. I don't want to do it. It stresses me out. So I just wing it. I just eat when I'm hungry, stop when I'm full. And yeah, if I stall, I prime. I keep things very simple.
I mean, so isn't that the beauty of this lifestyle? We can let go of those numbers. We get the simplicity that we need to finally focus on other things besides counting calories, stepping on the scale, just obsessing over stupid numbers. So I want to challenge you all who are here in this live. Thank you for your time, for hanging out with us. I just want to challenge you all to step away from that scale. Heck, just throw it away and start taking progress photos instead. And also to start embracing where you are at today. You cannot, I think I hear this all the time in the steak and butter gang, you cannot hate yourself thin. Okay. You have to start with embracing where you are now and be open to where your body wants to take you. It's really like not just a healing journey, but also a learning journey about who you are. Like we are literally unpeeling layers of ourselves, layers of inflammation. And finally, we get to this like new me. It's going to be quite a big journey and embrace it. Dr. Phil, what are your words of encouragement?
I'm really glad you mentioned to quit doing the macros. I thought it was so funny when you started spitting out your 3 pounds of meat.
I really
I
don't like
went
doing that. Yeah.
I went to pull up my Fitness Pal, which I used from 2016 until I went carnivore every day, tracked everything. And of course, now it's uninstalled on my iPad. So it wasn't even installed because I haven't used it for 14 months. And I just thought it was hilarious. And I
Mm.
weighed myself yesterday for the first time in 8 weeks. And I used to weigh myself every morning when I got up. And just how important it is to have that food freedom and not be seeing your eating as fuel that you need, but not what you worry about or track or do anything with. So that's the
Right.
true freedom of the carnivore way
Yeah.
of eating, that you spend more time in relationship and doing things you want to do and less time tracking and stressing about what you're eating.
Well said. Like, could not have said it better. I do want to just be thankful for your time, guys, my team, my friends here with me right now. We are now 1.5 hours in, and the number is continuing to go up. I am going to stay here live and hang out with everyone because Max is upstairs with my father in law, his dad, and I just want them to have their bonding time. His dad doesn't come here often. So I honestly have all night to hang out with you guys. But my friends here on this live, if you guys need to get your beauty sleep, rest, go spend time with family, please go. You don't need to feel like you have to stay here all night.
I'm
I'm
good.
carnivore. I'm in for the long haul.
Yeah.
I, I'm just happy to have electricity after the storm passed. So.
Dr. Phil is in Florida, so yeah. Yeah. Okay. Amy, did you need to go? I don't want to keep you.
I'm gonna stay as well.
Yay! Chad, you
It's
too?
fun.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Great. Okay, let's keep going, Todd.
There we go.
AP, just wondering if people with hypothyroidism lose weight slower, and would you suggest a supplement or not to support the thyroid? Thank you. Lindy, let's start with you.
Yeah, I have hypothyroidism and I'm on levothyroxine. I do that because my doctor tells me to. I don't do everything my doctor tells me to, but my thyroid's not working. I need to have my supplementation there. So that's probably the only thing I do that my doctor tells me to. Do I lose weight slowly? Well, I've come from an extreme, overweight person. So I had a lot of weight to lose very quickly. Things have slowed way down now, and they're probably going to continue to lose gradually. So, look, there's no hurry. I don't know if it is slower than the average person that doesn't have that issue. I don't really care. This is my journey, and I just have to just go with what's happening to my body and do what I think I need to be at my best, at my healthiest. So,
I love that. Amy, you work with a lot of members with hypothyroidism. What are your thoughts?
I like what Lindy said. I also think that Dr. Phil has some good comments about integrating alternative therapies for thyroid, like Dr. Bright's iodine therapy. I think you just have to be careful and
Mhm.
listen to your body closely, because once you start messing around with that, you don't know what kind of effect you're going to have on your whole system. So whatever course you take, research it well, but most importantly, look for any warning signs, anything that's going to worsen your health when you were trying to improve it.
I love that. Well said. Dr. Phil, any thoughts on this?
Well, I'm hypothyroid as well, and a lot of people have had some success using iodine supplements to heal their thyroid. For
Mhm.
me, I actually got worse on iodine supplementation. So, but I think it's something for people to try if they have Hashimoto's thyroiditis. They have to be very, very slow at doing it and use even less than a drop a day to start out. But I got up to a pretty stringent dose and actually had more fatigue and felt worse on iodine supplementation. So I do want to warn people because there's a lot of content out there that says everyone's iodine deficient. You need to take it to heal your thyroid. And I'm in the same camp as Lindy that I take levothyroxine to keep my levels where I need to. I was hoping the thyroid would, the iodine replacement would help, but it didn't for me. So, but I'm not giving up. I figure my thyroid's got burned out in 2001 from a myocarditis, which is a heart infection. And so that was, 23 years ago. So my question is, will my thyroid heal over the next 4 or 5 years as a carnivore? And I'm still hopeful it might. So I don't give up on that. But I think if you are low thyroid today, you ought to get it replaced as a transition to getting your body healed. And that's one of the transition strategies that I do recommend people use is not go a long time in the hypothyroid thinking that, you're going to have some miracle cure right away. Although some people do. So
Yeah. Yeah. Since iodine was mentioned, thank you guys for the answers. Todd, you have to talk about your iodine.
Yeah, mine's my thyroidism absolutely benefits from large doses of iodine. I use the J Crow's 5%, Lugel's 5%, and I do 50 milligrams, which is 20 drops of the 5%. And it's been the closest thing to a miracle pill that I've ever had for sure. It's made a huge difference. But I also got to say, before even the iodine, the thing that started healing my hypothyroidism, it was priming. And I knew that because that was when my eyebrows grew back. My eyebrows were about a third of them were bald. And I was wondering what the heck was going on. And my eyebrows and hair started growing back. And, that was one of the first signs that was healing up. And then my energy came back up too. And then after that, I found out that I needed the iodine. And now I take 50 milligrams. But the iodine's incredible for sure. For me, it's been just an absolute game changer.
That is
and I think that's why it's important for us to realize that we're all unique individuals with unique biological profiles. And we call it the N equals 1 thought of, having the freedom to have a hypothesis. Iodine may help me. Iodine may not help me. Try it out, see what happens. I gave it a good 90 days. I was very encouraged by what Todd's experience was, but you don't get discouraged in carnivore. You just, if something doesn't work, you try something different.
exactly. Great thoughts. Thank you guys. Next question, Todd. Okay, Faith and Hope. I have one kidney. I have high protein. Is that her question? High protein, an issue with that?
Is high
Is
protein.
high
Oh.
protein.
Okay. Yeah. Is high protein an issue with having one kidney, Amy?
So, not in my experience. It is not. I have 2 kidneys, but I had the equivalent of, worse than the equivalent of a person who had donated a kidney. So my numbers were lower than that of someone who has 1 kidney. And I try to eat about 220 to 230 grams of protein on my eating days. And my kidney health is better than ever. But I'll also tell you that if you ask any doctor in the carnivore space, they'll tell you there's no research that supports protein harming a kidney, either a healthy kidney or a kidney that has started to deteriorate. Protein and fat are healers of my kidney, and I highly recommend that you go forward with your protein and allow carnivore to heal your body.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take a little different angle on this because the reason doctors got into this paradigm of avoiding protein when you have kidney disease is back in the 70s and 80s, we always noticed that one of the first hallmarks of kidney failure is what we call proteinuria, which is the presence of protein in your urine. And doctors began restricting protein, trying to treat the proteinuria, which was leaking out of the kidneys. And it wasn't until probably the late 90s that we began to understand that it's actually protein restriction is the worst thing you can do, because you're actually leaking protein and you want to make sure you get enough. And as Amy said, the protein's actually needed for healing. And the other thing that kind of made high protein diets um, questionable was putting people on like 10 times the amount of protein that we actually need. And people have this misnomer that carnivore is a high protein diet, and it's really not a high protein diet. You should be eating about 1 to 2 grams of protein per ideal body weight, pound of ideal body weight, or 2.2 per kilo of ideal body weight. And there's, as Amy said, there's no convincing that there's an upper limit on that, but we also don't know the effect of eating 10 times as much protein. And I would say it's not good to eat 10 times more of anything than your body needs, right? That's a little different than having six times more testosterone that you need, but like Chad, but I think people get caught up that because they're not eating carbs, they're eating a high protein diet, which you're really not in carnivore. And I think the reason we see so much kidney failure is people aren't getting enough protein to create the structural integrity of not only their kidneys, but also their skeleton. And we're seeing so much osteopenia because of um, we have a society that thinks that treating osteopenia and osteoporosis is a matter of just taking more calcium. And that in and of itself is problematic if you're not getting adequate protein, because you need the protein to make the matrix that the calcium hangs onto in your skeletal structure. And so people in the Western diet are just by nature protein deficient in so many ways. So whether you having only one kidney is certainly not a contraindication to doing carnivore, and would actually be a good reason to do carnivore.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Dr. Phil. Let's keep answering questions. Oh, hold on, Todd. You're muted.
Dang it, I don't know why I keep saying that. I know that Phil is tired of talking, but you know the old adjective, don't be awesome if you can't take the celebration, Phil. So here's another one for you.
Ooh, let me read it. Ruby wants to know, how important is it to have a GP who is supportive of carnivore?
Yeah, it's not just your general practitioner. I'm boarded in family physician, but it's making your whole healthcare team your partner. And in Western medicine, so many people get caught up in a parent-child relationship with their doctor, and it's amazing. I've had doctors walk in a room who don't know me, and they start barking orders at me like I'm some kind of serf. And that does not go over well with me. Can you imagine? And I'm going to be talking at Hack Your Health next year in Tampa, Florida, in November. And we're going to talk about, Bella and I, and most of the people here on this call today, we're going to be how to thrive in as a carnivore in a non-carnivore world. And my angle in that is how to turn your doctor from a parent to a partner. Because that's something I talk about a lot in Steak and Butter Gang. I love to help people to start honest conversations with their doctors, and I do it around risk benefit analysis, because everything that your doctor's prescribing, they need to really go through what are the risks of the treatment and what's the benefits of it. And if your doctors aren't ready to have those conversations with you, it's time to find new doctors. But I'll tell you, two things will irritate your doctor. One is, I read on the internet. That's not the conversation to have with your doctor. Say,
Yeah.
Doc, can you spend a moment discussing how you see the risk versus the benefits
Mhm.
of what you're prescribing for me or what you're recommending, so I can be best informed and make the best decision for me, and turn it from a challenging their authority into doctor, help be my partner. And that's how you begin to do that. And I love to talk about this. Amy knows I talk about it on the live streams all the time. So within the gang.
Yeah, you're the best candidate to talk about this, and I'm so excited for our panel. Jeff actually put it in the chat box. For those watching the playback, it'll be in the description box. If you are looking for an in-person carnivore event, this is more of a conference. It's a huge event, and you want to connect with fellow carnivores in person, as well as meet your favorite carnivore advocates. Like Dr. Chafee is going to go, Dr. Sean Baker is going to go. All of us here will be there. Dr. Phil is leading this panel that specifically he's talking about how to thrive as a carnivore in a non-carnivore world. It is such a fantastic topic. We'll be taking questions. We'll be opening up the discussion with you all who attend. And Dr. Phil will be leading with his genius brilliance. Okay. So it's gonna be great. But I just wanted to yeah, please.
Tell them about the special deal we have for them
Okay.
right now. The early bird special.
It is an early bird special right now. This lowest price is only going to be, I want to say, like for another month, because Hack Your Health typically raises their prices every month. So it just progressively gets more and more expensive. So if you know that you'll be in Tampa, or you would like to trek out to Tampa to be there, I would definitely recommend using that code and getting it now. Yeah. Okay. And then we can hang out. We can learn. We can meet each other in person. I went this year. Best experience of my life. Yeah. Anyways, let's keep going, Todd.
All right.
Hi, Anne. 3 days of stomach cramps. I'm sorry. I had pork crackling from a food vendor. Could it be they slathered it in seed oils? Carnivore for 13 months. Yeah, we were just talking about the seed oils. Very, very possible. Chad, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't trust any sort of I've gone to a paranoia. I cook my own food, and now that I'm fat adapted, if I just don't know, I won't eat, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay watching other people eat, and I'm okay avoiding food that I do not trust explicitly. So
Yeah, exactly. Let's see, what else could it be? Pork cracklings from a food vendor. What does that mean? Like a
Just like a food truck or whatever, you know.
oh
Yeah, like there could have been a rat in that oil. Who knows?
Oh man. I mean, I would not be surprised. Yeah.
it's almost
Yeah,
impossible. It's almost impossible for a vendor not to put seed oils on healthy food. It's almost impossible.
It is impossible because they need to cut the cost. They need to keep the cost low. Do you know how expensive it is to run a restaurant or a food vendor? Yeah.
Even if you
and
get
a lot.
Oops, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Amy. I'm
I
sorry.
was just gonna say, Dr. Phil, even if you get shredded mozzarella from Costco, the Costco brand has canola oil in it.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Jeez, they just sneak it in everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the cracklings are usually the strained pork pieces that are left in the oil.
Mm.
So it's almost guaranteed to be full of seed oils. And
Almost guaranteed. Yeah.
I can't handle it. And Barry on Homestead Hal went on a cruise, and
Love
just getting
Terry.
his eggs fried in seed oil drove him into depression and anxiety, like on day one.
Makes sense.
I mean,
Yeah.
you gotta watch everything when you're eating out.
Unfortunately, but we all learn together, and you will be back to feeling good in no time. Just give it some time and eat home cooked meals. I just wanted to shout out Eddie. I saw this pop up and let me just read it. Okay. Let's celebrate Eddie. November 14, 2023, 358 pounds today, 218 pounds. Oh, he's 218 pounds today. Wow. Congratulations. I've been accused of being sick or on meth. Cool, right? No one believes it. I tell them neither do I, and I just laugh. Thanks, guys. Bella was my first mentor, by the way. Wow. Eddie, thank you so much for sharing this. Feel very honored. Thank you for your support and joining us live.
That's awesome. I
fantastic.
love that, Eddie. That's been my go-to comment for all my friends this summer that have asked me what I'm doing, and I tell every time I tell them meth. Just doing meth.
It's more believable than going carnivore.
It is, and oddly enough, they accept it easier than all I've eaten is steak and egg yolks for the last, 22 months or whatever. They actually would think I was more crazy, and they're like, meth, that seems right.
Yeah, right. Okay, this
So
is great.
stay tuned for the Breaking Todd sequel.
Oh my gosh. I would love to watch that. Marielle, hello. She says, any tricks to get over the caffeine addiction and also sugar addiction? Amy, you have to start.
I'm going to speak to the sugar addiction because I am against getting over your caffeine addiction. I don't support it. You'll have to ask someone else on that. But
Okay.
the sugar addiction,
Yeah.
again, eat a lot of food. Eat a lot of meat and fat. And then it does take some time, but find a fat source that you love. I used cream cheese. You can even take like a quarter. I ate a block and a half of cream cheese a day for the first 3 months. Okay. Every time you have a sugar craving, eat fat and don't be afraid of it.
Yep.
It will help you change your brain from being an addict brain, which is what our brains look like when we're obese. They switch over to looking like a cocaine addict's brain. It will help you retrain your brain so that you're not craving it. But during that time where it's bumpy, make sure you eat some fat.
Yeah. I feel like that's perfect advice for both questions. So try that out, Marielle. Keep us posted.
Sure, we got a couple of
Al-
supers.
Also, I would talk
Oh, yeah.
about doing the bone broth,
Yes.
especially for like that hot beverage. Like I switched out, like switching out coffee for bone broth kind of satisfies that
Right.
what's that called? Like routine.
The
You know what I mean? That
habit,
habit.
yeah.
Yeah. But also you're getting that again, that nutrients and that energy very quickly. It's like a straight shot and it's easily absorbable.
Right. And I mean, I found that that anticipatory dopamine fix is real for
Mhm.
replacing any habits.
Mm-mm.
So if you can do the entire ritual but change out the end game, that does work. You just have to change it. And you just gotta kind of BS your brain for a little while and be like, man, I'm going to get my X, Y, or Z. And then you just change it out. And it's the whole process until you have it's disappointing. But if you just keep that up, after a few weeks, you'll wake up one day and you'll be craving sparkling water instead of Diet Coke or whatever. That really does work.
I love
And
that.
I say get off the caffeine though. That's my opinion. I think that every single study that's been done has shown that caffeine does interrupt the sleep cycle and it does it messes with your circadian rhythm. So if we're trying to reach optimal health, now I'm not telling it like if you want to reach optimal health, I think it's best to get away from the caffeine. But if you're healthy and you're doing great, then I mean, you want to live, you have to do the cost benefit analysis of, is this worth it? Like, if I love coffee this much and I am this unhappy without it, the only caveat to that is how many people have truly given it up and then say that they're happier without it.
I'm happier with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. See, very few people have done that. Yeah.
But no, I respect everybody's opinions. Go ahead,
Right.
Todd.
I haven't had it for 22 months. I haven't had anything but water for 22 months, and I am actually happier without it. So
Mhm.
Bravo. See, everybody has different experiences, but show of hands, who here drinks coffee with Carnivore? Yeah. Dr. Phil's hand is up. Okay. So we've got 3 are drinking.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, that's 4. Hell
Four.
yeah.
Mm.
We win.
bunch of freaking addicts around. here.
Addicts.
I know.
Addicts, Todd.
Okay. Literally, this is my last piece of plant food or plant drink. And this is my last, I guess, I don't know. I am clinging onto it and I recognize that. But see, I get the excuse of saying, Chad, I did cut it out and I
Mhm.
actually feel better with it. I wouldn't say I feel better, but I feel the same, you
Mm.
know?
Yeah, I think that's often a lot like a lot of people. There's a reason why there's rituals in food.
Yeah.
Many people, like even Western culture, but how many tribes and indigenous people have we seen rituals with food? It's very, very important, and it's
Right.
a lot to our livelihood. But like for me and Todd, we're just so sick that it's not an option. In
Right.
order for us to live like a normal day, we can't compromise our system. So we've done enough damage to our bodies that we don't have that luxury. But I think there's oftentimes with people, like for example, eggs. I love eggs. However, how much better I felt off of eggs, it made sense to me. But man,
Mm,
if I could add eggs back to my diet, I would in a heartbeat. So
mhm,
that's, I would say the same thing. Like for me and Todd, coffee's just out of the question. But if you've given it up and then you've added it back and you've noticed that your health is pretty much the same, then yo, good for you. Let's keep going with it.
Yeah.
I love it.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. That's been my experience too. I cut it out for 6 weeks to do priming when I first joined SBG because
Nice.
Coach Raymond was so adamant that, um, it's not good for you. And then
Yeah.
when I finished the first 4 weeks of priming, I had my first cup of coffee and it was so bitter I couldn't stand it, which I recognized the fact that
That's
I
true.
actually lost the taste of it for a while. But then about another month down the road, I reintroduced it because of the social construct of having coffee with my wife in the morning.
Mm.
And
Hmm.
I so I get up, I make the coffee, and when the coffee's done, she gets up, and that's kind of our morning ritual. And I feel it doesn't do anything, but I agree with what you're saying, Chad. Is it's an individual n equals one thing. Try
Mhm.
giving it up. Make sure you can give it up, and then reintroduce it and see where you go. Hey, there's a question here from Christine Lamb, and she made the comment that she must be one of the poor kids because she's not getting her question answered. So,
Oh, sorry, Christine. Yeah.
You're the cool
so
kids.
I,
You're the cool kid.
Yeah.
yeah, we're not the cool kids. So
No.
she said, not carnivore yet, just started keto 2 weeks ago. I'm hungry between meals, even though eating way more protein and fat than ever before. Is this normal?
Yes, it is
And
normal. Yeah.
yeah,
Sounds like my story. I mean, when I first started carnivore, I was eating 5 meals a day. So let that sink in. I went from eating or forcing myself to eat OMADs because I thought that's what I needed to do to stay fit to eating 5 meals a day. So I would say I'm more on the extreme end where it's like I ate like the whole house and I had a bottomless pit.
Mm.
But I don't see this happen to every single woman, so don't freak out like, "Oh no, I was just about to start carnivore, but I don't want this." It might happen, it might not. You might have a degree of it. Sounds like she is having it. I would say again, just embrace that big healthy appetite and just eat. Like eat
Yeah.
more meals, right?
One,
Todd? Yeah.
it's such a good sign because, I can eat a pound and a quarter, pound and a half of meat.
Yeah.
And I was doing OMADs and then I did the priming. And then I was eating seven plus pounds of meat a day. And I just did 9 months of OMADs. And then I was eating 7 pounds of beef a day for 6 months. I
Right.
tried to do one OMAD, woke up in the night trying to eat my friggin' pillow. Like my
Right. I
appetite
remember
was,
you said that.
yeah. I was like, what is going on? My appetite was through the roof. And
Mm,
that was when everything healed. And that was when fasting actually finally had an efficient result of burning fat. It
yeah.
wasn't when I was tired and weak and at 1,440 calories a day. That wasn't doing anything.
Yeah. For those who just joined the live stream, we apparently, thanks to Jorge, calculated my daily calories. And just so you know, I'm, well, I am tall. I'm 5'10. That's how many centimeters is that? Like 178 centimeters? And I'm eating 3,500 calories at least a day. Like I'm just drinking this like as my water these days. Raw kefir. So I am not afraid to eat so much. And yet I am not getting fat. I'm only gaining muscle and I'm only gaining strength. So I just want the women to hear this. Stop being afraid of eating fat and definitely stop counting calories and restricting. Okay. Your body's literally going to punish you for it. You're going to lose hair. You're never going to lose weight. And you're also going to be stressed out 24/7. Your cortisol is going to be up here all the time. That's like a really bad way to live, you know? Anyways, I could go on and on about this topic, but we have some supers here. Thank you for being patient, Crazy K. When starting carnivore, how many weeks until the energy and mental clarity appears? This is such a good question. Chad, you go first.
Oh man, it took me a long time, and I think I had super low stomach acid. I think I had a messed up gallbladder. I think everything in my digestive system. So I think I'm a long case, but I was over a month, and I was just desperate, and I just kept holding on to the hope of everyone saying that there's a light at the end of the tunnel and don't give up. And then I discovered bone broth, and that made things a lot better. But seriously, like a month, at least 6 weeks. Like I would say 6 weeks.
That's good. That's good to know. How about you, Amy?
5.5 months. I
Wow.
felt hazy that whole time. I think it was the withdrawal from the sugar, coupled with the fact that I really was eating a lot of food. And so if you're priming, I tell people this, but if you're priming correctly, you have lethargy. You feel slothful. And so brain fog, fatigue in the body, things like that are normal because your energy system is switching over from your blood sugar to ketotic, using ketones for your energy. You have to give that some time. And it just happened to be that for me, I didn't feel any energy and I felt very hazy for 5.5 months.
Wow. How about you, Lindy?
Yeah, probably 5 to 6 months because I was so focused on just desperately trying to lose weight, and then I had mobility issues. It was a struggle just to walk up and down the hallway, and so until I actually had those results and was able to sort of get up off the couch and start walking properly, that I actually thought, okay, this is actually working. But I was so super focused on, counting calories and doing all this that I missed all the signals that I may have had because I was so focused on trying to get like results really quickly. So I'm probably thinking, 5 to 6 months before I could actually accept, okay, things are actually changing here and I am getting my life back, and just to relax a little bit and trust the process.
I love that. How about you, Todd?
Yeah, I mean, so it's kind of tricky, right? I had really hard when I first started carnivore. I had a really hard time, recalling words and putting sentences together. I think when I was really sick, I had a stroke. The doctors aren't sure because they couldn't put me in an MRI, but I'm pretty certain that I had one. That was why I went to the ER, was because my oxygen was when I woke up that day, the oxygen was at like 58% saturation, and I had just the worst headache that I'd ever had in my life. And I was confused, didn't know where I was and stuff. But anyhow, after that day, I couldn't recall words for a long time. So when I did carnivore after that, when I got out of the hospital, came back, did carnivore, it was only 2.5 weeks before depression, anxiety went away, which that was a world of difference. But it took about 4 or 5 months before I could have a smooth conversation again and could recall all the words and and speak pretty fluently. But it actually took until I got really fat adapt, which was when I really started fasting, on specifically doing dry fasting, before I got all the energy that I have now out of it. That actually took close to a year.
Wow.
Mhm.
And Dr. Phil, how about you?
I'm kind of the outlier here. So I did keto for 2 weeks and then started carnivore without priming. And I felt great after 2 weeks on carnivore. So I would say that would be a 4-week transition for me. And I didn't prime until my 4th month of carnivore. And I definitely, during priming, felt the sluggishness of eating more, but the mental clarity from carnivore kicked in much earlier for me, probably because I didn't prime. But I wish I would have had to do over again. I would have primed right out of the box because that was a mistake. And the only reason I came to prime was because I heard Todd's story during a
Aw.
live stream, and he talked about his experience with SPG, and I came over to SPG because he said everything I needed to hear, which was I was chronically undereating
Yeah.
from 2016 to 2023, so 7 years of undereating.
Wow. Yeah, I love how this almost contagious word of mouth thing spreads like wildfire. Because Lindy first found SBG, she found the coaches, I think through maybe a video on YouTube, maybe? Was it on YouTube?
No, through your video, or through your channel. Yeah, I was following you, and I was like, I have to join SBG because
Honored.
of you. And then saw the coaches. Yeah.
Yeah, and so Lindy spread that to Todd. Todd shared his story because he was healing tremendously. And then Todd inspired Phil. And maybe we are inspiring you guys. So, whatever it is that you guys want to heal, there are communities out there. I'm not just going to plug Steak and Butter King, okay? But it is the
I will. I will. I've been to all of them.
Okay,
Me
well,
too.
So it's
Thank
the
you.
best.
yeah, it's a happy family in there for sure. I'll link it in the chat. Shauna, hi team. Any tips on how to thrive as a carnivore being active duty military?
This might be.
Wow.
I know a guy that might be able to talk about this.
Right? This is perfect. I am scared of being nowhere with no options while deployed for months at a time. I love you guys. Thank you for spreading truth. Love you, Shauna. Chad, you must take this.
Even when you get deployed, you're going to be on FOBs, and they're going to always have a red meat option. They're always going to have like a burger. They're always going to have a steak, and they're always going to have eggs. And they're going to have chicken as well. And I don't know how much you'll be able to avoid the spices, but you'll get to know the cooks there and the chefs there. And you can be like, hey, like I'm really on this really strict carnivore diet. Most chefs know about the carnivore diet because they're in the know when it comes to food. And I'm like, hey, could we do it where I just like have my own this and my own that? And when I used to go to the DFAC and things like that, I know that I was making dietary requests. But if you're on the MREs, you're kind of, Army.mil says if you go there and you look at the like basically the Attorney General of the Army, they say you can be on MREs for up to 21 days at a time, and so that's going to be a little bit rough. However, if you go fasting and feasting and things like that, I'm always able to adapt my diet in order to fast during the times where I know I'm not going to be able to get the food I need, but then also like organize my meals. And when I go to the DFAC or the galley or whatever, I also want to ask what branch you're in, because if you're in the Navy, it's going to be super easy. If you're Army, it's going to depend on what you're doing, Marines or things like that. So.
Wow. Anyone else want to help Shauna here?
I have no idea what the military's like. So.
No.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, Shauna, if you can in the chat, tell me what branch you're in, and maybe I can give you a little bit more direct. Because I was in Army and Navy, and I also was I did OCS for the Marine Corps for a little bit. So, and then I government contracted for both the Air Force and Space Force. So I have a little bit of connection with each branch.
Awesome. Hi, Lubas. Okay. Can cowboy okay. Can
Bill, this
cowboy
one's
hack
for you.
elaborate on the eyebrow problem? I have that issue.
Yeah, I don't know, but about this last third of my eyebrows were gone before, and my old pictures they were only about this far. All that was gone, and they grew back. Didn't grow back till priming. I didn't even know it at the time, but that's one of the side effects for hypothyroidism is your eyebrows. You lose your eyebrows about the and third, and that was one of the first things I noticed on priming about month 4. Was I was looking in the mirror, I'm like, my dang eyebrows are growing back. So I looked it up, and my metabolism was obviously way higher, because I was eating, 7 pounds of steak, and I couldn't seem to get enough. I was just everything was happening at the time. So long story short, just the nourishment healed my thyroid, because I, for people that don't know, I was 600 pounds when I was 14. So I've been calorie restricting and eating, trying to restrict food since I was 14 years old. Okay. And so when that happens, you just, and also, when you go to dietitians, they tell you to eat vegetables and not eat protein and not eat meat and not eat fat. So I spent 26 years not eating anything that my body and my thyroid, my hormones actually needed.
Yeah.
And so I was either off the rails eating hyperpalatable, high carbohydrate junk, or I was on a diet eating lettuce and carrots that had no nutrients in it, nothing that my body needed. And so once I primed and I got nourished, my body just, our bodies are the best healer, and they just healed up, and they healed my thyroid.
And Todd, you literally drink pop as water for your whole
I
life.
did. I
right?
did for sure. Yeah. But that was because that was the only thing my body made energy out of. Like it was the only time I could,
Yeah.
I was in construction, moving around a 600-pound body. All I lived off of was caffeine, nicotine, and sugar. I don't know how I'm still here, to be honest with you, but
Wow.
that's how that went for 26 years. If you have a chance, don't do that. But that's how that worked.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So there you go. We answered Luba's question. Let's all call Todd Cowboy Hat Guy from now on. That's your new name.
DHG.
Yeah.
That's funny. Let's
Keep
see.
going. Yeah. Hi, Liberty Tax. Question. Been carnivore 1 year, 3 months. I've lost 40 pounds, but I'm 6.2. Is that 6'2"?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
wow.
think so.
And now I weigh 154. That's quite light, right? For 6'2"?
For 6'2", for
Yes.
sure.
Is this a question like as in, is it too light?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would eat as much as you can and start doing push-ups.
Yeah.
Sprints.
Sprints.
Lift.
Yeah.
If you're
Amy? Yeah.
if you're trying to gain weight, you should have as much dairy as you can tolerate, especially milk. Have as much dairy as you can tolerate. Some high calorie, higher carb, carnivore foods, shrimp, any shellfish actually, scallops. Just try to get as much food in as you can, but lean heavily on dairy if you can tolerate it.
Highly, highly agree. I personally am like adding in the dairy because I want to gain muscle, but same thing, right? Like if you want to gain healthy weight, adding in dairy is a really great way to gain the muscle and gain the healthy weight. Yeah. And for those asking, this is raw kefir. I get it at Sprouts. It's illegal to get raw dairy here in Washington, but at Sprouts, there is a loophole. You get the pet kefir, and I just drink it. Yeah, because they can sell it raw. I have not died, guys. It's safe. Yeah. Okay, let's keep going.
So Shauna said that she
yeah.
was Navy. And so I just wanted to tell her that if you're going to go the galley, you're always going to have usually a red meat option. It depends. Like if you're in a basic training or like A school or something like that, you're kind of limited. However, the likelihood of you ever getting put on MREs is pretty low. So that usually means you have a galley that you can work with. And oftentimes you can make requests there and they can work with you. But they usually always will give you a red meat option. So.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Thank you, Chad. I do want to share, though, for anyone who is in the military or who is a veteran as well, I would like you to email me at sbgchallenge@gmail.com because I would like to thank you for your service and help you get into the community, the Steak and Butter Gang. So just email me again. Let me type it out.
Also, while she's typing, Chad Gig or whatever your name is, answer my question. Is your name really Chad? I need to know. I need to know if you're using my name ironically or if you're just like, Chad. The name Chad has become a meme, obviously part of the culture, but is your name really Chad? I need to know. I've asked you.
How is Chad, how should I say if they're currently in? Is it in service or currently serving?
Yeah, currently serving in the United States Arms, like they say like the armed services or yeah.
Thank you. Okay. It's in the chat. We really want to help you guys out. Okay. Next question. Is it this one, Todd, from Karen?
Yes.
Okay, great. I am having a hard time starting and stopping carnivore for the last 3 years. I really do not know how to correct my own cravings and my own celebrations with family. Any advice? I know that this is best. Okay. Lindy, how do you stay carnivore with your family and celebrations?
Oh, I just have to eat through the cravings to give me that off switch. If I just have a little bit of vegetable or whatever, that just sets the cravings off, and then I can spiral back to where I was. So knowing that I'm not like everybody else, I have to abstain and I can't moderate my food helps me. That's my big why. I don't want to spiral back to 800 pounds or 750 pounds, whatever I was. And it is hard with family. My family are not carnivore, and I just have to eat beforehand. Like if we go out, I eat beforehand. So if I do falter, I can't do a lot of damage when I'm out because I'm already full. So eat my steak or whatever I need to do to be full before I go out. And then just when I get home, I just know if I get hungry, if I have a craving, just I have to eat the meat until that craving goes and I get that off switch back. But it is a struggle. I hear you, but you
Yeah.
can do it. Just remember your why. Why are you doing this?
Yeah. I love that. Thank you, Lindy. Amy, what are your tips?
That's a tough one for all of us. I want to emphasize what Lindy said earlier. This is such a great thing to share in a community, especially as we're coming up on the holidays. We all start talking about this, about how to deal with family. But I want to tell you, the only thing is, two things. Number one, don't beat yourself up if you end up eating with family. Try not to be so hard on yourself ever. This is an experiment. Like Dr. Phil said, we work our bumps, we work our problems, we try something else. You're not a failure. You don't lack discipline or work ethic because you cannot stick to a carnivore diet. It's an experiment and it will last the rest of my life. And the second thing is if you do eat and you find that you have cravings, don't punish yourself. In steak and butter gang, we prime, not punish, because we have to eat our way back to getting out of our cravings. If we fast our way back, we're not going to get out of our cravings. So eat your way back out of your cravings and give yourself time to do it. And don't be hard on yourself.
I love that, Amy. Well said. Literally well said. So good. So I think those were great answers. We can move on to the next one. I did put a little question myself in the chat box for everyone in the live. Would you guys like more lives like this, me and my friends, regularly? And if yes, what is a good time for you all? Because I recognize there's people all over in different time zones. I personally think this time is fantastic. It works for me, but let me know if you guys have requests for maybe a separate time. Okay. Liberty Tax. Should I be fat adaptive after 15 months? I'll just answer this real quick. It's so personal. Like you cannot pinpoint, okay, this amount of days carnivore, you're going to be fat adapted. I can promise you out of us 6 here, we're each going to have different answers. I would give it at least 90 days. Next question. What if we have to, from David, hi David, what if we have to rely on processed meats due to low finance? Pepperoni, sliced ham, hot dogs, and so on. What are your thoughts, Todd?
You know, I don't think you have to rely on processed meats to do that because I can get ground beef and eggs pretty cheap, you know. And also when I go carnivore or now that I am carnivore, I save money in a lot of other places, not snacking, not drinking anything but water, not getting sick and taking medicine, Pepto-Bismol and aspirin and those sorts of things, that I find that I actually save a lot of money. But if, starting out, it is kind of I guess there is a point that it's kind of an investment at first because it takes a little while to receive those kind of benefits. And so you might have to do something. And I would think anything is better, but you have to be really careful with those processed foods and read the label because they are just a minefield of stuff that'll derail you, and you might never get off the ground because they might be full of seed oils and preservatives and the blanket term other natural ingredients that'll just absolutely destroy your gut microbiome, and those sorts of things. So I would watch out and try to do the best you can. I really like my meat to only have one ingredient in it that's beef.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
the best thing. So that's
Yeah.
my thoughts on it.
Well said. Well said. I would love for all of your guys' favorite cheap or budget friendly carnivore food. Like, let's all share and learn from each other, because I always learn the best tips and best secret foods that I've never tried yet from you all. So share that in the live chat. I've noted all of your comments on this timing. I would love to do more. In fact, I'm no longer going to film videos, guys. I'm only doing lives now. It's so much fun. Now I get it, Todd. Now I get
There
it.
we go. We were trendsetters, Lindy. Trendsetters.
Did well.
Lives only. So perfect time. I love the time too. Yeah, sardines. For me, fresh pork belly is like $4.99 a pound. It is so high fat. You can cook it how you like. You do not have to eat those nitrates like Chad says he's avoiding. You don't have to eat the high salt, the high spiced bacon. You can just eat fresh pork belly. There's so many tips and tricks. Dr. Phil, what's yours?
Well, I think pork belly is, for me, I get it for $3.99 at Costco here in
There you
Tampa.
go.
So
Yeah.
I made a 12.5 pound pork belly. I braise it. It's crispy on the outside. I slice it. I've been eating it all week. I'll divide this big 12-pound pork belly into 4 rectangles and put some of it in the freezer and keep the
Yum.
rest in the refrigerator, and just slice it off when I'm in the mood for some. And it's like a pork chop with a crispy crust on it. But the crispy crust is your pork skin. So
Yum.
it's just so satisfying and so good.
So good, so good. So this question from Lisa is excellent. Will carnivore help with ADHD? Amy, does your daughter have ADHD?
No, she has OCD, but
Oh, okay.
it's hard with all the letters. I get them mixed up too. But I have heard people say in our group that ADHD, it helped them and their kids with ADHD. And for kids, well, this may not be for a kid, but anyway, you don't have to go completely carnivore to start feeling the benefits. And then as you start feeling the benefits, it helps push you into being more enthusiastic about experimenting with carnivore. Just start and see what happens.
That's a good tip. Yeah. Keep it simple. Chad?
Oh, you're muted, bud.
Sorry, Chad, you're muted. Let me help you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
you're good. Yeah.
I did not hit that button, I swear.
I did. Sorry.
Oh, my bad. Was I loud? Was I being loud? Sorry.
No, it's just that there's a random echo and I'm not sure who, but it's okay. It's fixed.
I
Go
got
ahead.
my headphones on. Don't you worry. I
You're
won't let
good.
you echo. So I think I had undiagnosed ADHD, but my parents were just like, just smack him until he behaves. So like, I think that's, you know what I mean? Like I just didn't go to the doctor, you know what I mean, to get that diagnosed. But I noticed that my attention is way better since I've gone carnivore. And in my opinion, that we all get, as Anthony Chafee would put it, insulin resistant, especially our brain cells become insulin resistant. And so once we go to ketosis, our brain is finally getting those energy sources that it needs. So that's my opinion.
Great. That's so good. Todd, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I never got it diagnosed, but everybody said that I had ADHD. I don't know if I did or not, but I definitely, I definitely had a hard time focusing, and my focus is much, much better on carnivore for sure. I always, forever when I was at work, I'd have to have, I have 6 monitors at work, and I'd have to have, music playing, and I'd be listening to a podcast and doing all this stuff because I could not focus on one thing to save my life. And that seemed to coincide with all the addictive habits that I had. And when my brain calmed down, when my hormones calmed down, and when my insulin resistance got a lot better, that compulsive nature and that ability to just that fast brain that was always moving around, that just calmed, and I just haven't had a problem with it anymore.
Yeah, we carnivores call it the carnivore calm. It's a
Mhm.
real thing. It's a real thing. When your mind is constantly running, and finally you go carnivore, it actually stops running and you're finally just present. It's quite a nice feeling when you do hit that. Dr. Phil, do you have any explanation?
Yeah, I'm going to take a little different take on this because we've seen nothing but an increase in autism and ADHD in the last 40 years in the United States. I mean,
Yeah.
when I graduated from medical school back in the early 80s, I mean, autism was very rare. Now it's like 1 in 80 kids. So
Oh,
I
wow.
think, and we see a lot more what we call demyelinating diseases like ALS and multiple sclerosis, polyneuropathy. Um, and I think it's a direct relationship. If you look at us cutting down dietary cholesterol and dietary fat, because your brain is really heavy. I mean, cellular membranes are fat, cholesterol, and proteins, and our myelin sheaths are mostly cholesterol. And I think we've been starving our little kids' minds of essential fats and cholesterol. And we're seeing more and more of these behavioral issues, which are actually brain underdevelopment issues. And I think we're doing a disservice to our kids with the standard American diet. And I'm really glad to see Robert Kennedy Jr. starting to talk about this and people that are starting to make this a topic that, we can't look at the epidemiology, which of the country and the increase in obesity and these childhood mental health issues and disorders increasing inversely. They're increasing along with the move towards low fat, low protein, low cholesterol diets. So I think I don't think that's a surprise to me. And we are getting a lot of anecdotal parents reporting that their kids are doing better on a carnivore diet. So what I'm interested in is people that put their kids on carnivore as soon as they start eating solid food and what that's going to mean for these kids. I think it'll be a great observation to see what happens.
I love that. Thank you for all you do for spreading the message as a doctor, Dr. Phil. It's very, very valuable.
Awesome.
Absolutely. And I just want to speak to my kids. So I have 4 kids,
Yeah.
right? But my youngest son, he's 7. He didn't grow since he was 3. Or no, 4. He didn't grow since he was 4. So like when we went to the doctor, like, yeah, he hasn't grown. His mom's out of town, so I put him on strict carnivore. We get out in the sun every morning and walk barefoot. And we do like intermittent fasting, but he eats as much as he can when like that eating window is in, like that 12-hour eating window. He eats as much as he can. I took away his iPad too, and all of his schoolwork has been pen and paper. And he, in the last 2.5 weeks, grew half an inch, and like his face structure started to change. So like we went from not growing at all to putting him on carnivore. He's more talkative. He's always been good at math, but he's articulating things better when he's doing schoolwork. And this is just in 2.5 weeks. So to speak to that, just going on a carnivore diet and getting him off of his iPad and trying to fix the circadian rhythm and getting out in the sun and things like that, I think has drastically helped. And I owe it to you guys saying that it was like, it's okay to put kids on a carnivore diet. As a matter of fact, it's the most humane thing you could do to a kid is to get their development starting right. So just speaking from firsthand experience.
Congrats to your son. That is so inspiring.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We got a super chat.
Thank you, Healthy85. Should I supplement with vitamin D or would I get enough through meat, fish, and eggs? Ooh, let's all just raise hands. Who here supplements with vitamin D? Raise your hand. Awesome. Yeah. So Dr. Phil and Lindy. And Lindy, you live in Australia. Dr. Phil, you live in Florida. Why do you supplement?
Um, it's funny. I was actually severely vitamin D deficient when I was working full time because I would go to work in the dark and come home in the dark. And I had a vitamin D level of 6, single
Wow.
digit, which
Wow.
is the worst my
Yeah.
doctor had ever seen. And my plan is to so I take 5,000 units a day. I have, even though I live in Florida, I wasn't. If you can live in Florida but never see the light of day, if you're working all the time, so I have a much better time now, and I plan to wean off the vitamin D this coming year because I do think I'll get plenty from dietary alone, but I had a pretty big deficit to make up.
Yeah, that makes sense. How about
Hey,
you?
can
Oh,
I ask Dr. Phil?
yeah.
Well, I mean, don't you get the most vitamin D from sun exposure though? Like even if it wasn't in your diet as much?
That assumes that your body's already healthy, right?
Okay. Sounds good.
So, photons will help to produce vitamin D in your skin, but you also have to be metabolically healthy. So,
Mhm.
if you have lymphedema, lipedema, other metabolic issues, even in a positive climate, you still may not get enough photon conversion from the vitamin D. So it's now pretty simple to check your vitamin D levels. And you want to avoid getting too much. You don't want to be over 100, 200, any of those ranges, but you certainly don't want to be less than 40. And for
Thank
me
you.
being 6, I think I'll get plenty from my diet once I get my tank filled up, so to speak, Chad.
I'd like to add on to that too, because that's really interesting. Because I used to take a bunch of vitamins D and K2. I took that for, I guess, about 10 months, and I took a lot. And I did it religiously because I felt great. But what was interesting about it, that what you said, Phil, there about you have to be metabolically healthy, is when I first started carnivore and I was so sick, I couldn't sweat. There was I had some sort of neuropathy and I could not sweat. I was always overheating when I was trying to walk on the treadmill and stuff. And about the same time, so I would get great benefits from the vitamin D and K2, but about the same time that I got healthy enough that I started sweating again, I started craving going outside in the sun. When I started doing that, I didn't get any more benefit out of taking the vitamin D. I didn't feel anything from it. So that's when I stopped taking it. It was about 12 months ago, 10, 12 months ago. And I haven't needed it since. Now I crave the sun, getting out in the sun every day. But so I thought that was kind of
Yeah.
interesting. I feel like that would happen to me.
And you probably get an incredible amount of K2 now because of your diet of eggs, the number of eggs you eat a day. But when most people don't know, there's so many people that are over supplementing with calcium and vitamin D and don't realize how important K2 is. Because if you take too much vitamin D, I'm sorry, too much calcium and vitamin D, and you don't have adequate stores of K2, that excess calcium will be calcifying your arteries, including your coronary arteries, and give you a higher CAC score. So a lot of these people that say they have high CAC scores may very well have gotten that from taking calcium supplements, loading their body with calcium, thinking they're treating osteopenia, and not having enough K2 for the calcium to actually go to their skeleton, and the excess goes to their blood vessels. And then you get calcified arteries, and that throws your CAC score up. So that's the benefit of eating lots of egg yolks if you can. If not, you should probably be getting it from seafood sources like sardines or having salmon a couple times a week.
Nice. Lindy, how much do you take?
I'm taking 10,000 a day at the moment, and I'm also taking the K2. And that's because my blood panel tells me that I've been deficient all this time, and the doctors now said I need to take vitamin D. I've been housebound for pretty much 6 to 8 years like confined in the house. I don't go outside. We've just gone through winter, and I'm hoping, with the summer coming up, that I can go outside a lot more. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with my vitamin D levels. So I'll be having blood tests and doing all that. And if the doctor says I don't need it as much, then I will gradually reduce it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's up to you guys. And for Healthy 85 asking, I think like look at your number, but also when I have talked about vitamin D supplementation on my videos, I get a lot of you all commenting saying like even the number is not accurate. Like when you're carnivore, the number of what's a healthy level of vitamin D may not even be accurate. Like or the number to strive for anymore. So of course, believe or follow what you want to follow. I always say, how am I feeling? How do I feel? How's my energy? How's my sleep? Because we all know vitamin D affects those. And if you can get into direct sunlight, that's obviously the best way. I don't wear sunscreen at all, so I can be able to make vitamin D. So there's many different things to try. If you live somewhere with absolutely no sun in the winter, like here in Seattle, then maybe you can try. Amy, do you do what is it called? Sun tanning? Does that give you vitamin D?
Bake and bake. I call it fake and bake.
Yeah.
When I turned 50, I put on my lashes and I started going to the fake and bake. So here's the key. I also take 10,000 of the vitamin D. I take the K2. I begin taking it at the end of summer, and I take it all the way through to spring. But I go to the fake and bake. And here's the key with tanning beds. You don't have to go every day or anything. But if you can get one of the less nice beds, not the beds where you go in and you suddenly look like a supermodel, but the cheaper beds with more UVB than UVA, supposedly it gives you more vitamin D in the UVB rays. So if you just go 5 minutes a few times a week and get some of that, if you don't live in a very sunny area, I have found that I get less colds, and it tans, it tans me as well.
Nice. Yeah, so a great variation of tips for this question. Everyone who's in this live, thank you to all the people who are still here after 2 hours and 41 minutes. Incredible. By the way, team, my friends, if you guys need to hop off, okay? Because it's only 8:40 here in Seattle, but I know it's 11:40 at one of your locations, Dr. Phil. It's 11:40, right? Don't feel the need to stay the whole time because I'm going to go for a bit longer. Okay.
Well, much to Chad's chagrin, I had a cup of coffee before I started this. So.
Oh wow! Look at that. Good timing then.
Somebody asked, "Is D3 vitamin D a hormone?" And I wanted to answer that question because so the definition of a vitamin is a compound that your body needs for proper cellular health, but cannot be manufactured independently. So technically, vitamin D is not a vitamin, even though we classify it as a fat-soluble vitamin. And it is, in fact, a steroid hormone because it is something that we produce, but we need the addition of the photons from the sunlight in order to produce it. So that's why some people get confused because in many parts of the world, you can't get enough solar energy to actually manufacture it, or people are unhealthy. And we do get deficiencies and we have diseases from those deficiencies. So that's why it's classified as a vitamin because not everybody makes it well. But and that's also why you hear the amino acids how many essential amino acids are there? And technically there's 8 essential out of the 20 human amino acids, but there are 2 amino acids that about 30% of the population can't produce. And so they become essential in those people. because their bodies can't produce it. So that's why you'll see some people say there are 10 essential amino acids, and some people say there's 8, but it's because a significant amount of the population need to supplement with it. And eating carnivore takes care of both of these issues, which is
Nice.
missing amino acids and missing vitamin D.
Thank you for that, Dr. Phil. So this is BSKA. Should salt intake on carnivore be something to worry about? Yeah, this is another great topic that I see many carnivores have very different opinions on, like extremely different opinions. I'm on the end where I don't think salt is necessary. I just don't, because I've tried it with my own experience. Carnivore with lots of salt, carnivore with moderate amounts of salt, and then carnivore with 0 salt. Okay. I'm currently carnivore with 0 salt. What are you laughing at, Todd?
This.
Oh, shoot. Wait, is this Chad that he's asking about?
I think he's asking about Chad. I think you're
Yo,
Tank
what?
Bro.
I thought you were Tank Bro.
Oh, I better
No.
not be Tank Bro.
If you have one, Todd, I would already be subscribed.
Oh my God. Oh my
Don't give me any ideas. I ain't scared.
I don't have one. If you're talking to me,
Do any of us have one here?
Dr. Phil.
Doctor.
Okay. All right. Look. If you guys
Not
want
on your life. Not on your life.
to, if you guys want to troll us and pay us to troll us, I'm all happy to put them up.
I
Here you
just
go.
only recently learned what that even was. So if Dr. Phil has one, I'm pretty surprised.
They're paying us money to troll us. So
Wow.
I'm gonna
I
put it
mean, these trolls, thank you so much for your
Yeah.
support.
I
I
take
recently
it as a
lost 100
compliment.
pounds. Wow. Thank you, Rev. Thank you so much.
there we go. Thanks for the money.
So are 7-Eleven prepackaged chicken is this a serious question or
I
is
think
this a
this
troll?
one is a serious question.
Okay. 7-Eleven prepackaged chicken cutlets fit into a carnivore diet. I would check the ingredients. Yeah. Definitely check the ingredients. And if it's fresh chicken and there's no other ingredients, then yes, it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
So-
I'm looking at these. It's pretty funny. All right. Good job, guys. We put it up. And
Thank you, Rev. What is that?
I'm sure it's probably something. Yeah, I'm gonna guess that that's okay.
Aw. This is a lot of super chats. For
Yeah,
trolls.
they're trolling us.
My goodness.
Miss
Um,
Lindy, do you use salt?
Oh,
sorry.
Do you use salt, Lindy?
Yeah, I used to eat a
Yeah.
lot of salt. I love to add a lot of salt, but now I just go by how I feel. Sometimes I want a lot of salt and I really enjoy it, and other times I just I don't have it because I don't feel like it. So I just go by how I feel.
Oh, this is awesome. Thank you so
just-
much. That's huge. Thank you.
Thank you.
yeah,
Dick.
Dr.
thank
Kim
you.
Oh, that's
Berry,
nice.
Dr. Kim Berry and Dr. Anthony Chafee talk about this a lot, that our tongues are super sophisticated systems, and
Yeah.
that it will tell you how much your tongue will tell you how much salt your body needs.
Mm.
And I think, Bella, a lot of people need it, once you say in the transition, but as you get more adapted to carnivore, that it's less necessary as
Yeah.
time goes on. Yeah.
Right. So my friend Anthony Chafee, and I've gotten to know him and his carnivore journey very well now as well, because I've met him at multiple carnivore events. And I also just absolutely love his fiance, Elle. So both of them, they're very much supportive of carnivore. They live it themselves. And something that really struck me was Dr. Chafee said he now doesn't eat salt. He doesn't really need it. So I am seeing a lot with long-term carnivores, like maybe I want to say like 3 years and over, they just don't need salt anymore. So I find that very fascinating. I also want to bring up that a lot of the OG carnivores who started the first carnivore group called Zeroing In on Health, some of you may not even know about it because it's so long ago. They actually encouraged carnivores to not eat any salt. They said eating salt is like adding processed foods. So it's very much about like what works best for you. Experiment, try it out, and see.
So I made
Yeah.
this my own electrolyte drink with this Baja Gold salt.
Yeah.
And ever since I started doing that, my own electrolyte drink with that, I've noticed I've had less of a craving for actual salt on my meat, like on my steaks and stuff. So I wonder, I just think about that a lot, about that salt question, because I know what you're talking about. Some people like despise it, and other people are like, you're going to need it. And so I just don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we have some more troll super chats if you want them. Oh man, Adam, I think your mom's gonna get pissed when she sees what you're doing to her credit card right now. That's all I know.
So I think I know what's going on. I shared a little sneak peek of our live stream on my Instagram, and Instagram is very troll heavy.
Yeah.
So I think it maybe caught the attention of my IG trolls.
Well, it's perfect because they're paying you to be trolls, so it's awesome.
Like,
I
yeah,
think I need to start an OnlyFans. I think
No.
there's a market.
I think I
that
need
needs to
more
be
people
filled.
to hate me. How do you do it?
I think this is a pretty good indication we need to end the live stream.
I mean, if you
I-
guys
I-
want.
I wanted to ask, okay, so a few times this got asked, and we kind of never addressed it. People kept asking Bella about her getting kicked out of ketosis when she drinks the kefir.
Mhm.
And I kind of wanted to talk about the fact that you don't want to be in ketosis. It's very important to get kicked out of ketosis. Even when you are completely carnivore and you have no carbs, when you eat enough protein in one meal, which you should, that gluconeogenesis, as Dr. Phil was referring to, will kick you out of ketosis momentarily, and that's important for proper kidney function. And so even people who think they're 100% in ketosis all the time, you're not. In fact, it's vital for proper health to get kicked out of ketosis, right? And so they were asking you about, everyone was kind of worried about getting kicked out of ketosis, and I wanted I think that's one of the major questions that we missed.
Yeah.
Well,
so
and
right, go ahead, Doctor.
well, I was just going to say, without gluconeogenesis, our insulins would go near to zero, and we do need insulin. It's just that most people are insulin resistant and have too much insulin around, which is harmful to you. So that gluconeogenesis is actually beneficial to us, because if our blood sugar went to zero, we would be unconscious.
So when I get asked this question, because I am sharing a lot of this raw kefir, I just say that I think there's a reason why my body craves for it, and it's craved for it this strongly only after I started working out in the gym. So I'm not really concerned about being in ketosis. A lot of carnivores, when they're living this lifestyle, they just stop caring about the tracking, the numbers, the being in ketosis, the measuring the pee sticks and all of that. So again, it's up to you if you want to track it, but I just like to free myself from all of that stuff. Yeah. Awesome. So maybe we should wrap up then. This has been almost 3 hours. Thank you guys so much for those who are here and genuinely wanting to learn about carnivore. Thank you so much for joining us live tonight. I'm going to do this again, so just stay tuned. I'll make sure to post it early on so that you guys can all RSVP. It was absolutely such a pleasure to hang out with everyone here on this panel. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Todd. Combat Carnivore Chad, Amy, and Lindy. Thank you so much. Great 3 hours spent with you guys. Thank you for all the questions. I love you guys so much. For those who joined in on the live, asked questions, chimed in, and shared. Very, very grateful for you all. I'm going to post the link for our next challenge one more time for our latecomers. We do these, everyone here participates in these challenge every single month. So if you need that extra support, guys, we have Zoom calls every single day. So it's quite different from these live streams because you actually get to unmute and talk with us. So it's much more hands-on, much more interactive than just typing at faces on your screen. It's much more connection if you need it. And then finally, Hack Your Health. This is an in-person event. We can literally meet in person. We can hug, we can eat meat together, we can talk all things carnivore in person. So I'll put those important links for those watching the playbacks. Open up the description box and we will see you in the next live. Thank
Thank you
We'll see
guys.
Love y'all. See ya.
Follow everyone here in the description box. They're all linked.